then he tries to be all smooth. Oh, I'm going to hit the button now and nobody will notice.
Right. Seattle, Washington, I'm listening.
So now we were all bullshitting and then Ryan hit the button and now we get all quiet.
No, he definitely made us aware that that's what was going to happen. Just keep doing this.
This is about to start.
Keep not doing what's happening. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm not doing anything here.
By the way, that's Tamel Bugs.
Hello, this is Terrell Suggs.
Terrell Suggs, yeah. The second
pro
appearance.
football player.
Very happy to have Tamel back with us tonight.
We've enjoyed it ever since you came the first time. We talked about it a couple times. It was a good episode.
I had a very good time.
Well, hopefully today's better. Less about me. I talk about other people.
I was hoping you could fill some air, man. I had a flu shot today, and I'm not feeling all that fantastic.
I haven't gotten a flu shot in over 3 years. I haven't gotten sick one winter yet.
Yeah.
You also live outdoors.
Oh, yeah. I eat mud.
You're welcome. You're welcome that I got the flu shot,
yeah.
so I won't get the flu and give it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I took one for the team.
I'm sure Ryan Grills
Technically,
is
you
so
already have
worried
the
about
flu
that.
right now. The flu virus is floating around inside your body right now.
But it's not contagious.
That's only one.
No, it's not
That's a
contagious,
few.
no.
How many do they give you now? Flu shots?
It's a cocktail. Well, it's a cocktail of different strains.
But it only
that
covers
they
different
think might come
strains.
out this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a military guy, so they give you guys so many injections. Your blood is
Whoa.
tainted.
Yeah, they used to
You're
force
not allowed
us
to donate.
Yeah, I used to get that anthrax that got taken
It
off
is.
the market. Yeah, I can't.
They
donate
give you
blood.
so many different
Holy shit,
concoctions, plus being overseas.
Anthrax,
Oh, yeah,
smallpox.
Yeah, well, and they give you shit that, like, don't they give you a disclaimer that says this could be bad? Like,
I don't know if I had to sign
I guess
one.
it depends. It depends on where you're going, but I know.
Well,
my
I mean, I
buddy
think
that
it's
I used
obvious
to-
a disclaimer if you're going to like Afghanistan, like your life may be threatened. No,
Well, no. I mean, my buddy who worked ammo, who went TDY a few times or went on tours. I can't remember where he went the one time, but he had to get some shot that was a big deal. Like he was worried about it.
They give you like a super cocktail.
Yeah, I
it's like-
actually, when I had to go to Afghanistan, I had a 3-day notification for leaving. So it was, hey, you're leaving in 3 days for Afghanistan. Go to the hospital right now. You got to get all these vaccines. You got to do this, this, and this. I passed out. Like literally that night, I got so like dizzy because I had like 4 shots in one arm, 4 in the other. I was given anthrax, smallpox, all my typhoid, all these other boosters and shit. And I was like getting dizzy. I actually literally blacked out that night and fell down in front of my buddy.
Oh, geez.
And I had no clue it even happened. I was like, it's probably because I just got shot up with a cocktail of drugs today in my
That's
arm.
just praying that some of them aren't experimental.
Well, that's the issue. The small anthrax was semi-experimental when I was getting it in 2003.
I think that might have been
market.
I think that might have been.
Oh
the
yeah,
one.
and we were forced to get it. That was the one where they would shoot you with it, and they'd tell you this is going to hurt. Yep, inject it.
Brace
and I'm
yourself.
like, yeah, and I'm like all thinking, oh fuck, this is going to hurt. It's going to be like one of those ones where it just hurts really bad. And they inject it into you, and I'm like, that's it. And like, wait 10 minutes. It's like, oh, okay. Like, move your arm as little as possible. Don't rub it. Don't even try to move it. Like, okay, just let it lay by your side. It's like, well, I got to drive home on my motorcycle. Like, we recommend you get home quick. Dude, I got outside in that parking lot to get on my bike, and my whole arm felt like there was a fire underneath. Like, my whole arm was on fire. Like,
From the inside out.
from the inside out, just burning. And I'm like,
Then you drop to your knees and you're like, I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
because it was one of those, like,
I hear you, Jesus.
yeah. Please give me back function on my left arm. I just want to be able to jerk off with that one once in a while. Go southpaw.
The European grip.
Am I the
yeah.
only person that goes southpaw?
No, every now and then.
Depends on how much.
Sometimes you got to go the overhand too.
It's kind of a little funky thing about myself. I do like half things left-handed. It's weird. Like I shoot pull left-handed, I shoot bow left-handed.
Ambidextrous.
I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I think that would be considered ambidextrous, yeah.
Well, I find it hard to work
it
a
might-
mouse left-handed.
It might also, yeah.
I skate goofy foot.
Nice.
I think I skate goofy foot too. In a lot of sports, like I could play basketball right-handed, but I can't write left-handed.
Yeah.
It's funky. I don't.
Yeah, my buddy Mike is ambidextrous, and he does pretty much everything left-handed, but he'll bat right-handed and golf he'll bat right-handed and golf right-handed.
Wow.
That's why I almost wonder sometimes whether that's kind of like a brain association. Like
depends
certain
on your eye dominance too.
That's what I was going to say.
My dad shoots pool and shoots guns left-handed, but right's right and bats right.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's usually why I was going to say people that are poor shots are shooting with the wrong eye. Like they might be right-handed, but their left eye may be more dominant.
Right,
they're
so
shooting
they're trying
right-eyed.
Yeah.
Brain doesn't like it.
Brain doesn't like it.
Brain don't like.
Well, here you go. Here is the here's the test I was taught when going through shooting schools to find out if you're left eye or right eye dominant. You probably know it from other stuff where you put your finger out and you put it on an object.
And then you close
your
one
eye.
Yeah.
If you close your left eye and your right hand, your hand's still on it with that eye.
Fully
if you close,
arm.
Yep. But if you close your left eye and it moves, whichever eye makes it move is your less dominant eye.
Right.
Yeah. I still think that'd be a great commercial, though. Shoot like shit. Brain don't like it.
Your brain says your hand is fucked up with your eyes. You need to get your eye-hand trigger
That's like a
coordination
creepy Wisconsin voice, like an Ed Gein.
Is there
Jeffrey
anything about
Dahmer
Wisconsin
voice.
that's not creepy?
Hey.
I was going to say Ryan's not creepy, but he just proved otherwise. So
I can
That's
make
what
creepy
You
voices.
just got to give him time and liquor.
Serial killer voice,
yeah.
which is appropriate for Halloween. I
Yeah,
should say.
it's
Which is funny because
Halloween
all
on.
four of us are wearing black today too. So
Holy
I was going to go gray.
shit.
But now I feel like we're a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a Halloween team.
We got our team jerseys on.
Team jerseys. Shrug.
I love that Ryan was uncomfortable saying it, and then everyone was silent for the first
Well, it's
time.
more one of those shrugs
It was
like,
like,
that makes sense.
It wasn't even that
What the hell did I just
weird. It
say?
just was the reaction, and then we're all like,
Okay.
Okay.
Reminds me of this really silly comedian. He's like talking about things he's afraid of. He's all, I'm afraid of clowns. And he's like, are you afraid of clowns? Everyone's like, no, I'm not afraid of clowns. So if a clown comes to your door at 8 o'clock at night, you open it?
No.
yeah, fuck that.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, I guess. Yeah.
Just say it's perspective.
Yeah. I don't have a phobia per se, but
No, I have a thing about opening the door for
yeah,
mass to
that,
men.
You guys-
that would definitely be a little bit weird for
Do
sure.
you guys watch American Horror Story?
If that
No,
clown came to
not.
my door, I'd fucking shoot through the door.
That's what my son wants to be for Halloween this year.
Holy shit.
He wants to be the clown from that show?
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it, and I'm like, oh, we probably can't do that in 6 days.
No.
Yeah, it's rough, man. There's actually, I watched a YouTube video where this guy is doing the
Scaring the hell
makeup
out
for
of people.
Oh well, yeah, that one. But there's one to do the makeup for the clown from American Horror Story.
What do you take the mouth from? 'Cause that's a mask off of, like, well,
Yeah, well, they just put makeup on their
okay.
face for the mask, like just drew like
yeah,
a
because
big
if I wanted
mouth.
to do it, I'd want to actually, like, cut that mask up, make, like, latex sheets to put on to make all the lines.
Yeah,
and
that's
shit.
what I was going to
So do you watch the show? Did you see
Oh,
see the episode where that chick knocked him in the face with the stick and that part
and
of
you
his
see
mask
it
came
come up
off?
and there's like no lower
Yeah,
jaw.
there's no ugh.
Just for that quick second, you see it come off and you see him put it right back on.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's got no fucking mouth.
Since this is kind of the Halloween episode, if you want to terrify yourself, look up Scary Clown on YouTube and watch the clown that's doing pranks.
Dude,
I think
that's
it's in like
fucking
California.
hilarious.
It is
Oh,
evil.
yeah.
I love
People
that
walk
shit.
out, and all of a sudden somebody rips a chainsaw and starts running at them just as an evil clown.
Those guys
It's
are in
so funny.
Australia.
Oh, are they?
I'm trying to think of the name of their. I
Or
subscribe to them on
or they'll
YouTube.
walk around a corner and they've got a dummy set up and he's got that
The giant mallet?
that like,
Yeah.
bashes their brains
Head
in.
like
They're the
that.
same guys.
Yeah, dude, that's
Are they the
Yeah,
same
the
one
same
that do the
guys.
little girl in the
And then the
elevator?
clown turns and sees the people
I don't know if they did
walking
the
down the
little
way.
girl
That little girl in the elevator is evil. Like they turn out the lights, there's a secret door, and then all of a sudden
yeah,
there's
and
a
then
girl
that
that
little
comes
girl-
in looking like the Ring.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
It like flashes for a second. You can see the nightlight when she creeps in.
Yeah,
I
they-
think that one was more of a production because they had that little girl.
I think
like,
there was
crawling
one where
through a
they
hole.
actually hit her though. Like somebody freaked out.
Probably.
Which it's
Probably,
understandable.
yeah.
Like some people get scared different. Some
yeah.
people pass
my
out.
son,
the
yeah.
other ones attack.
Whenever I startle my son on accident, he gets all like I did it one time and he had a knife and he tried to stab me with the knife and I was like, "Fuck, man, chill out." I didn't
Yeah.
even scare him on purpose. Just like happened to walk in the kitchen and he didn't notice me. He's like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" Ah!
Yeah, the guys that do that video, if you want to see it, they're called the Royal Stampede. They've got over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and their latest one is called the Executioner Hollywood scare prank or Halloween scare prank. And they're dressed up like an executioner from a movie with like a full mask, and he's got like some sort of chainsaw or club going on there.
Battle axe, maybe.
Yeah. I'd watched it previously, but yeah, they do ones where like the guy be like waiting outside of a gas station door with the clown. He'll come hopping out with a chainsaw going, or fucking freaky. Surprised he hasn't gotten shot, but then again, in Australia, guns are illegal.
Yes,
Right.
That's probably why it's the ideal spot to do it. I don't think it works out quite the same in Florida.
No.
Standing my ground. Fucking
There you
clown.
go. That's how he looks. He looks like something out of a cartoon or a video game.
That's the funny thing, though, because when it comes to standing your ground, they always stand
yeah.
their ground against like kids.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they saw something they actually thought was scary, they'd probably run their ground.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's wet your ground is what that.
I'd be
one's called.
covering ground.
Covering. Yeah, exactly. Well, or minorities, to be honest.
Yeah,
You know,
well, yeah, kids and
kids and minorities.
Yeah.
That's the quote threat.
yeah.
But it's usually only a
kid-
threat when it's one minority versus a different minority. When it's if it's the same race doing something to each other, people seem to not bat an eye on it.
It's very true.
Yeah, that's true
The
too.
thing is, that's kind of interesting because they were kind of talking about the statistics. I'd have to look it up. I don't want to just speak out of school. But the black on black violence is not nearly as high as they portray it to be.
yeah.
And even like most
That could be
violence in
true.
general, like
Yeah,
most
no.
people, like even Caucasian people, white people, like you're more likely to be killed by a family member than a stranger. And that's
Oh, yeah,
a lot.
absolutely.
It's always people you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that latest shooting there in Washington. That kid shot his cousins, and he did not fit the normal MO for a school shooter.
There's also about like 2 years ago where the father and son, I can't remember, I think the son killed the father, and it was over arguing about chicken at the Super Bowl. It's like the really pent up stuff is like more within the family. The people that you see.
For sure, yeah.
You
for
hurt the ones you love or no?
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah.
I was, yeah. I've all, just to give the perspective a switch a little bit. I mean, not from race, but to switch the race perspective a little bit. I've always wondered, like, if you look at the three of us here, white skin, that's recessive, and we all have blue eyes, that's recessive as well. And
And I'm a
Am I-
ginger.
am I-
no,
not blue.
I'm just saying the three of
Oh.
us. But
Yeah.
but
The three.
Yeah.
and worldwide, it's like it's got to be greater than 80%. I don't know the numbers, but black hair, brown eyes.
Yeah.
White people, not just white people are a minority, but white people with blue eyes is an extreme minority. But yet,
White people with blue
it's
eyes
always,
and red
it's always,
hair.
It's always that. There was always like saying everybody else is a minority. Yeah, that's always been weird to me. I don't know.
It's an interesting
Well,
thing.
it's relative, right? It's
Well, that's why I
we're
say
not
we'll
a-
switch the perspective
Yeah.
a little because I've always wondered, like, why do we call everyone else like we're weird? Like,
I wouldn't say you're weird.
well, no, okay, fair, that has a negative
Everybody's
connotation.
special.
But I'm just saying it's
Everyone gets a trophy. Stop.
right.
Like
Thanks
all the
for
red-headed
participating.
Afghans.
In 50 years, you'll all be brown. That's the trophy we get.
yes.
But no, I always thought that was a little odd. Happy Halloween, everybody. That was an awkward silence after that.
No, we're just listening for more thoughtful insight. I think it's a good perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things out there. There's plenty of things I wonder.
Well,
I can't really think of them offhand. But I wonder. I just think about, as a black person, you grow up kind of hearing a lot of the different stereotypes and you get curious about that type of thing. Like we were discussing before we started, like black people and chicken. If you got to think about history and a matter of perspective. Like if you're living on a farm, there's not supermarkets. This is kind of, slavery time. There's a market you can go and trade at. But if you're growing up in a small area and you need easy food, then chicken's the answer. Chicken gives you eggs.
Yep.
As they always, I guess that'd be kind of a different saying. I was about to say the chicken contribution breakfast quote, but that'd be pigs that are making the sacrifice.
But all across the world, I mean, chicken is the number one consumed protein worldwide.
Easy to
It's
raise.
it's not racially.
It's easy to raise, but it's like you get that little
configured.
stereotype, like people wanted to make fun of them for not enjoying a cow. I don't know. Like,
Right.
you couldn't afford a steak.
Right.
You didn't have a cow.
Right. And can we say across the board that white people don't like fried chicken? No.
you can fry
course not.
anything.
Lying.
Yeah, so it's weird on
White
that.
people
it's
like
weird that
fried
way, too.
Twinkies.
Yes.
Right. Well,
A double fried donut. I watch them eat fried
butter.
Skittles. They ate fried Skittles.
I saw at a carnival they
might
were
try
doing
that.
fried sticks of butter.
Yeah. Fried. I don't even.
oh God, are you serious?
Yeah.
I've had deep
fried
fried
sticks of
ice
butter.
cream, and I didn't know how it worked, but it was really, really good.
Fried ice cream. You can get that at Mexican restaurants.
Yeah, that's what it was. Is at a Mexican restaurant, but I've never eaten it
Let's
before.
apply race to it again.
Yeah.
No, but that is
It's
like
all
a Mexican,
race day with me. Happy racial Halloween.
It is a kind of a black holiday.
That's what I'm saying. Let me tell you about it.
Dark holiday.
How come the Reaper's not white?
Do we ever?
That's true.
I'm just saying.
But ghosts are.
White's scary.
Black cats are bad.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
movie,
but ghosts are really translucent.
What movie was it? What movie was it where
Fair enough.
was it Bad Boys? Martin Lawrence was pointing out all of the racist things around him. He's like, they're in the bar playing pool. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
look at this table. You got to get all the other balls off of the table, and then that black ball is the last one there.
No, that's just like I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. It's one of the freaking has Ben Affleck in it. It's like Sarah something where Chasing Amy. It was Chasing Amy. Where he talks about the Darth Vader, how Star Wars is racist. The biggest, baddest man on the planet is a big, strong black man. And then what happens in the last movie? Takes off his mask. He reveals a white man. You know what they're saying? They're saying we all want to be white inside. Then he yells out Black Power and starts shooting up the theater. But it's all a publicity stuff, which I think a lot of times, sometimes that racial talk is just to get attention.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think it's funny and it's important on a certain level. Like when you talk about pool or like bowling, one big black ball messes up the whole group of
All
white.
the whites.
Yeah.
But I don't think they thought about that at all when they made the games.
I think a lot of things start out innocently and innocuous.
Yeah, sure.
The materials they can be made out of.
Yeah, but it's still funny to and probably enlightening a little bit to think about that, because it's like on a certain level there's some truth to a bit of that. I mean, it wouldn't be funny if there wasn't any truth. If it wasn't funny at all,
That's what I'm saying.
nobody would relate to it. But I think there is, and
I think a lot of that different stuff is really open for discussion. I think it's kind of sometimes just the way that you go about it. But, if you have a friend, like if Duffy wants to come up to me and ask some kind of weird ass question that he thinks might be racist, I will listen to it and I will try to explain it the best I can from my perspective. But I'm just saying, I think it's a lot of the times the way that you approach it.
Yeah.
Like usually when people are complaining
sure.
about BET, they're not saying, I wonder what started BET.
Yeah.
Like, why they got their own channel?
yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. It's how you approach it.
or if there's a preface like I'm not racist, but then you're like, oh fuck,
And
this
even
guy.
then, I think that they're trying to make an attempt. Like they might just be a little bit ignorant and don't realize it.
Like
Right?
even
Because
with
that's
in,
kind of
in
you,
Utah,
man.
you don't
That's
really.
kind of you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in Utah, you don't
well,
really
yeah,
have a lot of
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
There's people at times that you're ignorant to little things.
Even when I hear that, I'm like, oh god.
Does anybody here watch the new show Blackish?
I have not
I
watched
have
Blackish.
not.
I've
I-
heard some comments about
haven't
Blackish.
even-
I shied away from it initially, thinking, "Oh god, that looks fucking terrible. It looks just bad." It's really fucking good. It's really funny. I like that show.
It seems like it would have some pretty good people in it. I kind of shy away from just network television shows until they get a few seasons under them.
Yeah.
Like I love How I Met Your Mother. That was like I waited till like the 5th season to even start watching that.
Yeah.
But I mean that Blackish show. That's one of those interesting things, man. You can't call something black.
Yeah.
Because you start saying Blackish and people are pissed. Like, why is this? Like, where's whitish?
Well,
Like-
the whole premise of the show is the main character, gets a good job, moves into an affluent white neighborhood, and sees his kids growing up in this neighborhood, and they're losing their black culture, and he's got his dad living with him, Lawrence Fishburne, and the whole cast is really good. It's a funny
Lawrence
show.
Fishburne is
man.
great.
Which is definitely kind of one of those things that, somewhat actually that I get concerned about. I'm like, my kids, I try to give them perspective on things, but a lot of times they're just getting this perspective of, kind of their mother's side of the family, which is the white side. And I'm like, I need to try to not bring them to my side, but you need to experience both. We are this. You are not just, one side or the other. Yeah. And I think that sometimes that is a weird concern. I don't know why I feel that, but I'm like, I want my kids to understand some of their other side.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure.
I'm pretty certain, especially.
Are they in high school?
My oldest daughter's in high school. Okay.
Well,
she's about as preppy as they come, but she makes me laugh. She's
nothing wrong with
highly
that.
intelligent.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but I mean, she's not a dancer. I'm like, man, you need to be not really,
I see.
not necessarily flamboyant, but I'm
Okay.
saying, experience life. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of associate one side with kind of like a Puritan lifestyle and it could just be a little bit more religion than it necessarily is.
The white side?
The white side. It's like more religion. Like everything's somber, everything's quiet, afraid to be judged.
Well,
I'll agree
And
with
that's
that.
the thing that I'm kind of more
Yeah,
worried about. Is
I
like they're
grew up that way.
afraid to be judged.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't matter if you act silly in front of people. I'll be with my daughters and I'll go to the store and I'll start singing. I'll start dancing. There'll be a goofy song playing. And they look at me and they'll say, "You're weird." But at the same time, I'm like, it's okay to be yourself. Don't let people tell you how you need to be.
Yeah.
It's like me dressing as a zombie and walking around town all day Saturday.
With a million other zombies. That's
Well, yeah, but then we walked into the bar and I was the only me and my buddy were the only zombies in the bar drinking. Everybody else kind of this weird looks like,
All the other zombies weren't drinking.
no, they're all kids.
That's very similar to like when I did the underwear.
Hanging out
run.
with kid zombies.
Like we ended up
all
going to a
weekend.
few places after the Undy run, and that was kind of funny. It's just kind of funny seeing everybody run around in their underwear and just not care.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's easy to do things like that in a group, but then I think you get silenced by almost like the mob mentality at times.
Yeah.
Is the way that I feel about it. It's like, you need to be able to be yourself, whether you're backed by 50 people or by your damn self.
Yeah.
Was
That's the
everyone
way I
nervous
feel.
about doing an undie run with a black dude?
No. Okay. There's a lot of girls that seem to enjoy it.
Might as well bring in all the stereotypes.
Like, he's going to bring it out.
Yeah, they've done it. What last
Had
year
my
was the
special
second year they did
anaconda
that?
underwear.
It's like, dude, Tamel, you're still wearing pants.
It's Ice Cube.
These are my underwear.
No, I actually had Superman underwear. You could tell they were red, white, and yellow. Or red, blue, and yellow.
But yet the city, I think, actually passed an ordinance saying the men can wear boxers
But the girls
and underwear, but
have to
girls
wear shirts.
have to wear shirts.
It's because you can't be showing off your midriffs.
But
yeah.
you can go to they couldn't wear swimsuits either.
You had to
dumb
wear a
shit.
shirt.
That's so.
What is this whole weird religious, like, anti-gay and anti-women? How does that work?
Well, it's the whole we can't control
Isn't that so
ourselves, so,
weird?
we're
Yes.
going to make you.
Essentially, that's really what it is. Like
The whole "you caused me to rape you because of the way you're dressed"
Yeah,
mentality.
that's right. The
Yeah,
woman,
it's slut shaming.
It's her fault for getting raped. It's a woman's fault if there's an affair.
Yeah.
Like you tempted my husband. He wasn't out there looking. You showed him your knees.
Right.
Yeah, they on Blackish they had one episode where his son goes up to the main character and he says, "Hey Dad, I want to have a bris." And he's like, "What the fuck? You want to have a bris?" And he says, "Yeah, I want to have a bris or not a bris, Jesus.
Bar mitzvah?
A bar mitzvah." Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird thing to request, but okay.
Yeah, he wanted to have a bar mitzvah, and he had chosen his own special Jewish name. He was going to change his name to Shlomo. It's a funny show, man. I really like it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a show like that, like I said, I think the title is kind of intentional.
Yeah.
Because it gets that extra attention. Maybe some people are going to be curious and like, I'll check it out. Some people are just going to hate it, and then that's just going to give it publicity when they're crying about it in public.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think-
like I said, I was like, man, that looks like it's going to be so fucking. That looks like a train wreck waiting to happen. And Tracy had read some reviews that all said it was really funny and affirming and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll watch an episode. And I was hooked after the first one.
And as strange as it is, and as much as people like to shit on Hollywood or actors, I mean, if you really think about some of the barriers that have been broken down by television, just by kind of showing you a different person, whether it's an interview, whether it's someone you just like from a TV show, you can maybe look and see like, oh, well, I watched this show. I watched Good Times. Maybe all black people ain't that bad. I watch fucking Will and Grace. Gay people, they're just like regular people that have regular fucking thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's necessarily representative of those people, but it kind of helps eat away at that preconceived notion that people have about people they don't experience.
Yeah.
And I think you get a place like Utah, which I'm not trying to be too mean to Utah, but I'm just saying a lot of states, when you're entrenched in a certain culture and you don't try to get outside of that wall, one of the things that religion tries to build up, stay within your circle and you don't experience other people, you can think whatever you want of them. They're like another.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to relate to them.
Exactly.
You don't have to talk to them.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to make them into the poor people that are taking welfare that you need
Well,
to
and
get
that's-
off the government titty.
And that's one of the things that I really despise about religion. That it really makes me angry when people say, "Oh no, religion is great. It's a great unifying thing."
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not
Most
unifying.
divisive thing.
It is.
Yep.
It's really,
It's
really divisive.
The most
It's
divisive thing. And then
It
the
is.
thing that angers me even more is like, the way that they treat women, the way that women are viewed.
Yeah.
You excommunicate women because they want to be equal, which a lot of people, I don't know if they realize, LDS people, they excommunicated people that thought black men should be able to hold the priesthood.
Yeah.
too.
Yep. They'll come
It's
around
their
on the
trend.
women thing eventually.
And that's what, even when it comes to the gay rights thing, that's what it is. Eventually, they're going to have to let priests be gay. They're going to have to let gay people hold the priesthood, and that's what they're worried about.
Yeah.
Because you start losing membership. It's similar to what happened when they allowed black people to start holding the priesthood again. They lost membership, not necessarily just because they're racist, but maybe there were some of those in there. But because, how can our philosophy change? We were told it was perfect the whole time, and then now conveniently, we're going to lose some funding.
No,
Well, and that exposes a pretty deep hypocrisy in Mormonism itself, because by doctrinally, they should be racist. They should be. They absolutely should, but they're not. They're not all. Certainly, there's a number of Mormons who are not
less
racist,
and less so all the time.
but,
I think.
But by not being racist, they're going against the core beliefs of their church in a certain sense. And what I mean, I know they accept
They've changed their doctrine. A lot of them deny their old doctrine.
in '78 they allowed black people to hold the priesthood, but they still have the doctrine that it's a curse.
It's again.
Okay.
Because it's Brigham Young during the Great Commute that put an end to blacks holding the priesthood.
Right.
That's one other thing that they don't ever talk about.
He was a brutal, nasty man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and in the LDS churches, one of the essays that they released as part of their series of tackling the more difficult parts of LDS doctrine, they basically threw Brigham Young under the bus and said, he was kind of a racist asshole.
Well, if you pay attention to what the church is trying to do nowadays, with all the videos they're releasing, whether it's the masturbation video, whether this is why we wear Jesus jammies, it's because they're trying to change their image and modernize.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sure. That's why you even see, we were talking about the Pope, the way that he's trying to come out.
Yep.
Evolution's real. The Big Bang is real. They're trying to modernize because they're realizing that younger people aren't nearly as stupid as they were in the past. The internet, science has always been religion's worst enemy. The internet's helping out a lot. Yeah. Google, you'll find people I've met some religious people I know, but hate Google. They think Google is destroying the world.
Of course.
Because you can answer questions. Your mom can be telling me some imaginary shit, and I can be disproving her as we speak.
Yep.
You got computers in your hands.
Yep.
And that's these people enemy.
Did you see that?
I don't understand how they think that's a bad thing, though.
Well,
because
people
knowledge.
are learning the truth.
because knowledge.
They're basically saying that the truth is bad. Knowledge is bad.
Yes, it is.
Well, but to them, it's not the truth.
Well, some of them
it's
it might
the
be
world's
the
answers.
Some of them it might be the truth too, and there are religious people out there that you will find that think it's better that you don't know the truth. I'm willing to bet that there's a percentage of people that are religious that teach their children religion just because they think it makes you a better person, and not necessarily because they believe in what's being said.
Well, yeah, one of the LDS church's leaders said, the truth isn't always a good thing. You have to look at, is the truth helpful?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and they're definitely believers in that.
Yeah,
What they consider to be the greater good.
Yeah,
that I don't understand at all.
I don't understand it either. They're, like I said, it's they're basically telling their followers that it's the truth, but it's not. The truth isn't always good. Well, yeah, the truth isn't always good, but it's still the fucking truth.
It's kind of similar to some governments. You take a look at China, you take a look at other governments that I won't mention, but they choose to make things classified to protect things that they have done.
Yeah,
and because if we release this, then they're going to lose faith within their government.
Yeah,
because our government's doing things that should make us lose faith in them.
Yeah.
Well, I've always kind of believed that there are certain things the government does that should be kind of kept on the down low. You don't need to know about shit,
but
there's shit that goes on behind scenes to help you out a little bit.
I agree.
Maybe not the shady shit, but if we go and capture some really bad dude and he gives us some really good intel on where some other really bad dudes are, and we decide to slit his throat, that should be kept in the black files.
Sure, that's fine.
In the back of the room,
but it should still be kept under review.
Well, and so that's moral relativism, right? You're saying that the end justifies the means.
And how many people are given access to this? Because they have documents that they keep secret from congressmen, that they keep secret from senators, that they keep secret from people that are supposed to be investigating what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the phone tapping
That's like I was
an
watching a show today called Hardcore Heroes about people that have done some really crazy stuff in the military, and this one guy was, he was in Delta forces and stuff pre-Vietnam, and right when Vietnam was kicking off, they kind of said, "Hey man, you want to come work for the CIA? You're pretty much a fucking badass." He's like, "Okay, yeah man, I'll come work for the CIA." He goes, "You have free reign to do whatever the fuck you want. It's all black. No one knows about it.
Sorry,
no one will ever know about what they found out." But what he was doing was he took Vietnam soldiers, Vietnamese soldiers.
Viet Cong.
No, going against Viet Cong.
Oh,
He took the Vietnamese, like the friendly Vietnamese soldiers that they were helping fighting alongside.
yeah.
And trained them and brought them with him. And they would go behind enemy lines, sneak in there, kidnap Viet Cong soldiers. And they're saying like, yeah, it wasn't uncommon to kidnap 50 or 60 Viet Cong soldiers a month, bring him back towards our barracks, interrogate him, torture him, and kill him and let him loose.
then what happened to him?
He got the Medal of Honor.
I'm just wondering what happened to him in the long run.
He's still alive. The guy was he's like, what I did help save lives is he actually helped a whole village in the Tet Offensive where when that was going on, he's like, something's up, something's wrong. And they took a PT boat behind enemy lines and got intel like they are planning something big right now. Something's going off. He goes, it is so quiet back here where normally there's tons of Viet Cong soldiers. They're like, they're missing. They're gone. Where are they? And he comes back, and that's when he started seeing the towns on fire. And he was the one that kind of started making the call to say, hey, they're attacking. And he went and led a 58-hour fight, saving civilians and rescuing people out of buildings and fighting off the Viet Cong, and actually almost single-handedly with another 20 guys fought off the Viet Cong and pushed them back across the border.
Almost single-handedly with another.
Well, almost.
Guys.
I mean, no, he was the only American soldier involved.
Yeah.
Now to kind of
with
go
a ragtag group of Vietnamese fighting off the Viet Cong.
to kind of go off on the crazy conspiracy-ish theory.
Ooh, I
like
love
the
crazy
ones a lot.
conspiracy theories.
How many assets do you think they've had like that maybe became a problem?
Oh,
That
I bet a
maybe
lot.
became a risk,
That might have lost
and
it
they
or flipped their lid.
classified that information.
And that guy
'cause
now
maybe
is
they had to
dead.
eliminate that target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or on an even bigger scale, even guys like that who got the Medal of Honor and were heroes were involved in an effort that was unnecessary to begin with.
Well,
I'm not taking away from his
Yeah.
personal achievements.
I mean, I
of
don't-
course,
I wouldn't-
he's doing his duty. I get that, but I'm just saying, governmentally, and I think
it's like
I think Dan had the good point about moral relativism
Yeah.
in the first place
Yeah.
on that, and that's where it gets a little confusing.
But I think, like with the case during his time, I mean, intel was gathered from the mouse.
Sure.
It wasn't like we could tap computers and tapping phones because they weren't doing that. This was all, one-on-one communications. The only way to really get intel to protect other people was to actually literally kidnap a guy and find out where are your teams at, what are you planning on attacking, where are your movements, where are you from, where are you going.
Yeah.
Figure all the info out, and kind of then you figure, okay, this is where the enemy's moving. We predict they're going to make an attack over here. Defend that area. Boom, you save lives. So it's not a surprise. Ambush. Hey, where's your minefield set up? Hey, where's your booby trap teams?
Well, even kind of with the latest release, they classify this information, but they had the release of the Nixon tapes to where it was pretty much admitted that he worked with them to make sure they didn't release the Vietnamese until he became president, so they could have a political point to make.
Yeah.
They classify that type of information. Tell me how that's best for government, how that's best for the people. It's more about CYA than it seems to be about the USA. Is all I'm saying. Is my perspective on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that happens a whole lot.
So Halloween, y'all.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the true subject. We aren't talking about. We can leave all the Vietnam conspiracy theory stuff. I mean, we're all going to maybe disagree or agree on.
I did
how
not realize this is this
government
type of
does
show.
actions. But
As I help make it that type of show.
we got the spooky, hooky, fucking Halloween shit coming up, and I just want to talk about Kirk Cameron right away. Start it off.
Okay.
Kirk Cameron wants to change Halloween, basically saying that it was originally a Christian holiday stolen by the pagans. Now, Halloween is basically one of the only major holidays left that has not been taken by Christians. Besides, I mean, you can't really take St. Patrick's Day away from the Irish. It's kind of impossible. But like Easter,
I'm an Irish Catholic.
Irish Catholic, but you can't go ahead. Yeah, but the Mormons won't.
It's already
celebrate
St.
it.
Patrick's.
It is. So it's already kind of Catholic-y. But anyways, they won't take away the Jewy holidays. That was horrible to say. I'm sorry.
I don't think
apologize.
Halloween's
Does that in the
Jewish
E
anyway.
make it-
No, but I mean, Christians won't go and say, "Hey, we're the ones that invented that dreidel." Sorry, they got that idea
Well,
from us.
they already
pagans
say
around.
that Hanukkah was an attempt to steal the month from Christians. So
Well, anyways,
I don't think they'll shy away from that at all.
so. Kirk Cameron,
They killed
Were they
the Jewish
celebrating
leader.
Hanukkah
They don't
before
care.
Christ was around?
That's what they're doing with Halloween now. They're basically Kirk Cameron had a whole thing out saying how Halloween has been around way before the pagans came up with it, and I'm thinking, wait, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's not possible.
You had the pagans, then the fucking Christians, and
Yep.
the Christianity is basically what killed paganism for the big part.
Yep.
And there are still people who practice paganism, but on a large scale, your religion killed paganism. You encompassed everything
Yeah.
to do with paganism,
Yeah,
and you stole all of their fucking.
Yeah, again, it's
Christianity
who
is a
was
Johnny come
celebrating it
lately.
first.
Yes, pagans were celebrating first, and I have some other words for it. I was trying to remember how to pronounce this one word. I'm probably going to fuck it up because the way I thought you pronounced it is not the way they say it's pronounced.
I just like to know what the problem is with Halloween. Is it just the demons? Is it the
I
scary
think that's
mask?
everything saying it's unholy. It's worshiping. It's devil
unholy,
worshiping.
It's pagan. It's we can get.
Or
into
is it
some of that.
asking
It's
for?
dark. It's satanic.
Is it asking for candy? Is like socialism?
Well, that's one thing I had in this thing because originally it was a Celtic festival called Samhain. That's how they say to pronounce it. 'Cause it's spelled Samhain, but it says pronounce it. It's Sah-Win.
Yeah, if it's Gaelic, yeah.
Samhain?
Samhain.
I've always said Samhain.
I've always thought it was Samhain too, but then it says Samhain pronounced Samhain, which I'm like, that's really confusing. I always thought it was Samhain. I'm saying it like it looks and not like it's supposed to be.
Phonetically.
Yes, Samhain or Samhain.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was the same thing. I'm like, oh, Sam Hain. I'm like, I've heard of that.
Tell
I'm
me
like,
about
oh,
this
wait,
Sam
it's-
Hain.
Yeah.
Well, that was the original Celtic festival, which
Well, it's the same reason why Sean is Sean. That's the same language. So that's why it's all fucked up.
Goddamn Celts.
Damn ancestors of mine.
but I'd read a few kind of differing stories, but one that kept kind of poking up was basically believing that on that day, you would basically dress up in costumes and you would blend in with all the spirits and that came up, and basically all your dead relatives are coming back to life for that one day, and everybody would kind of blend in. It was time to visit with
Or
your dead
scare
relatives.
the demons away.
Or that was the other thing. Or it was, your dead relatives are coming up. Instead of trying to blend in with them, you're trying to scare them off, which is where the jack-o'-lantern came from on the porch to scare away evil
Well,
spirits.
scaring demons away sounds very Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys caught, I believe it was the Daily Show where they're going to start performing exorcisms via Skype.
Oh yeah. That guy was on, he was on Tosh.0, the Skype guy that says, yeah, I do, can you just show me how this works?
Do online exorcism.
He's like, this is a multimedia world, and we need to be able to relate to the youth. Nobody wants a priest to come into your house. Your house may not be clean. You need to be able to have you need the face to face. You can't text the words. You got to throw the water. I don't know if it damages the camera or
I
does it have a
suppose it's
Does
just
it
as
go
good as
through the
being there.
camera?
I mean, the effects would be the same either way.
Yeah, it's still gonna do nothing.
It's all bullshit. So.
Yeah, but what if the demon reaches over and goes off? Disconnect Skype.
Right in the middle.
They're gonna have to
Well,
make a
and
special exorcism camera.
really, it's all about the safety. So if he's doing it by Skype, it's much more difficult for the demon to take over his body.
Well, they're gonna have to use a robotic
if-
arm or something.
If The Exorcist has taught us anything, it's that those demons can jump around. So.
Oh yeah, but I'm fairly certain I think demons can come through the wires on your technologies.
And while we're talking about Halloween and while we're kind of talking about religion, I don't like to just purely bash on religion. I respect a lot of religions, and I respect the Catholic religion most of all because they have given us all of the greatest horror movies. They have The Exorcist, they have The Omen, they have the ceremony, the pageantry. I just like to take it, and then they got the kind of somewhat coolish Pope.
Yeah.
And kind of along that line, there were movies that used to scare the shit out of me before I was an atheist, and now, ghost stories and demon stories, all that kind of shit, I'm like, doesn't really scare me. The movies that fucking scare me are the ones about crazy people. Because
Hell
crazy
yeah.
people really fucking happen. They're around.
We live in a state with the few.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially people in pills. Like I'm trying to remember, the freaking name of that movie where it's just like a small town where there's something in the water that just makes people start going crazy. Like it has the guy that randomly walks on a football field and just starts attacking somebody. It's called The Crazies.
Yeah, The Crazies. Yeah, that was a great fucking movie, man. I really like that.
That's something that can happen.
He's awesome. I love
shit that can possibly happen. Like I'm not worried about zombies, not too worried about exorcisms, but the Crazies, we live around a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's neighbors that I'm pretty sure
that
are
movie
the Crazies.
Scared the hell out of me because, I mean, that's. It's just fucking crazy. People.
If you ever see the church lady with a dark red lipstick, my personal saying's always been the darker your lipstick, the crazier you are on a crazy scale. When it's big and all around the lips and dark, rosy red, you're out for blood.
Yep.
And that's my Halloween message to everybody. Watch out for women in dark, red lipstick.
All right. So let's go to origin of the word.
Okay.
That for Halloween. Or Halloween. It's also
Halloween Eve.
I always say Halloween.
Halloween?
Yeah. I'm out of the norm in Utah, I know, but I say Halloween.
I know. I say Halloween, but when I look at the word, Hall is like
Halloween.
a hallway. So maybe I should say
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween.
Halloween. I don't know. Anyway.
So do you have that same, like that So Wayne or Sam Hain, however you want to pronounce it?
Yeah, I have that later.
Shazam.
Yeah, that was the first thing I could find with a reference to Halloween was that.
Oh, I just went to Wikipedia, so.
Oh. I went to like 5 different websites to try to check them against each other.
But not Wikipedia?
I didn't go to any websites.
Honestly, the most amount of websites that I found talking about Halloween were all fucking Christian, like CBN and fucking light shit. I mean, it was all like Christian ones trying to.
Those are kind of fun to read sometimes.
Some
just
of them
like
are wacky.
Witnessing the crazy.
How they're talking about how evil Halloween is and not to practice it.
Yeah.
At least they're trying to be authentic.
It's also been known as All Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Eve.
And All Hallows Mass.
The eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. It initiates an All Hallow Tide, the time of the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, hallows, martyrs, and all the faithful departed believers.
Well, that comes from Christianity, though.
Within All Hallow Tide, the traditional focus of All Hallows Eve revolves around the theme of using humor and ridicule to confront the power of death. So again, it stems from a not accepting the reality.
Yeah. Because death is scary. It's the end.
Yep.
Because I know when the Catholic Church came around, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here or not, with All Saints Day, where that was normally celebrated later on at the end of November, and it kept moving closer and closer and closer and closer to Halloween.
That sounds scary. It's getting
I know.
closer and
to the
closer.
point where they literally like celebrated it on the same day as Halloween, trying to take over, saying, "Oh, we're not going to celebrate the evil stuff. We're going to celebrate all the nice saints, All Saints Day."
Yeah,
and
well,
eventually, it's like All Saints Day kind of lost out.
It's kind of like moving. It's kind of like moving Christmas or Jesus' birthday, or saying that Jesus' birthday is celebrated on Christmas. Well, by all accounts, Jesus wasn't born anytime in December. It was May, I believe,
or any time that anyone knows of.
Yeah.
Even the Pope admits that.
I think the problem with Saints Day is it doesn't really move high fructose corn syrup. Yep. You gotta be able to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
This is still America.
You gotta be able to make some money on it.
Before you believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with, I'm sure we'll get into this later, but with Christmas, it's like, if they would have called it, Holy Ghost Rapes Mary Day, then that wouldn't have been as good either. So
that sounds like a sad holiday.
Yeah. According to many scholars, All Hallows Eve is a Christianized feast initially influenced by Celtic harvest festivals, which were pagan, but it's Christianized, with possible pagan roots, particularly the Gaelic Samhain. Other scholars maintain that it originated independently of Samhain and has solely Christian roots. So some scholars say that it's entirely Christian, and others say it comes from the pagans.
That's just silly.
I think there's some people that say our nation's entirely Christian too.
Yeah.
And that God wrote the Constitution. There's a lot of people say.
Yeah. I'm just saying these are what quote scholars are saying about it. Then it goes on to talk about festivities of Halloween, which we're already familiar with.
Candy.
The word Halloween or Halloween with an apostrophe, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean, dates to about 1745 and is of Christian origin. The word Halloween means hallowed evening or holy evening, comes from a Scottish term for All Hallows Eve. In Scots, the word eve is even, and this is contracted to een or with
Ian.
Yeah,
That's even.
Ian or een. Over time, All Hallows even evolved into Halloween or Halloween. Although the phrase All Hallows is found in Old English, I'm not even going to attempt to read that. All Hallows Eve is itself not seen until 1556.
Yeah, because I have here where it kind of talks about, where it says, because All Saints Day used to be, or is November 1st. I think it's still like on the calendar. So the Christians try to have All Hallows Eve as the eve, like Christmas Eve before Christmas Day. But the way I understand what the pagan rituals of it, with Samhain or Samhain, it was a night to celebrate your ancestors and all that kind of stuff, and worship all your gods and goddesses and all that, and celebrate the harvest and having a good harvest. And plus, with the Celtics, that was also the Celtic New Year. That was the last day of the year for the Celts on their calendar.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
We have different sources. I think I don't know if we.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I find it informational either way. I feel I've learned a little something about All Hallows Eve.
Yes. I'm just soaking it all in.
Well, do you have anything on the origins of trick or treating?
Ooh, now that I'd like to hear. Did it involve the Coke Company?
No.
A little bit. If you have something, let me start with this. 'Cause
Okay.
This is about the spread to North America, where I'm sure trick or treating comes after.
I don't have the exact date. Well, I think it actually came from Europe originally.
Fucking Hallmark.
The origins of. I'll get into that next.
Okay. Leslie Bannatyne and Cindy Ott both write that Anglican colonists in the South and Catholic colonists in Maryland recognized All Hallows Eve in their church calendars. Although the Puritans of New England maintained strong opposition to the holiday, along with other traditional celebrations of the established church, including Christmas. Mass Irish and Scottish immigration during the 19th century increased the holiday celebration in the United States. In Cajun areas, a nocturnal mass was said in cemeteries on Halloween night. Candles that had been blessed were placed on graves, and families sometimes spent their entire night at the graveside. Confined to the immigrant communities during the mid-19th century, it was gradually assimilated into mainstream society, and by the first decade of the 20th century, it was being celebrated coast to coast by people of all social, racial, and religious backgrounds, which is pretty similar to the Christmas line, too, because it wasn't till 1850 or later that Christmas trees were accepted by Christians in the U.S. So, yeah, let us know about trick-or-treating and how it went from not being accepted at all in the U.S.
I'm going to have to look it up because I think there's somewhere in the Bible, I can't remember, but I heard this quote recently, where actually decorating of trees is forbidden in the Christian faith.
Jeremiah 10:3.
But I don't have an exact date here, but they do have a quote from Shakespeare where he mentions the two gentlemen of Verona. It says, when spread across his master of pulling like a beggar at Hallows Mass. And at that time, the origins of trick-or-treating started off as young kids. The poor kids would go to the more affluent neighborhoods where the richer people were, and they'd go to the doors and they would beg for what they called soul cakes. What they do, they'd come to the door and they would beg. You would get the people would give them a cake, and the children would pray for that family. So they're giving them a soul cake, and the kids would pray for that family to come to the doors to beg.
And the prayer was the trick.
No, well, yeah, apparently. But then later on, it came.
That would have done better.
The kids would dress in masks, and they would go around, and the form of that wasn't called trick or treating. That was a practice of souling, and they'd go to the doors and ask for a soul cake, and they'd do a prayer for them. Then later on, it kind of evolved into the kids would wear their, dress up and stuff. And they would go door to door, and they would try to think of little songs or little sayings to say, like
Trick or treat, smell my feet,
give me something good to eat.
Yeah.
Which is the origins of why kids do stuff like that now. It was kids would go door to door and they would say little sayings. So trick or treat came from the origins of sayings that kids would say when they would go to the door begging.
You know, when you describe that, it almost makes me think of almost like dropping money in the Salvation Army bucket at the store.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lazy way of feeling like you're helping out society. Like, come to our house and beg. I'm going to throw you a little bit of snack and you get out of here.
Only one night a year are you allowed to come to my house and beg, though.
I've done my good deed for the
Right,
year.
and then their kids grow up and they're like, sing me a song.
Dance me a jig.
Yeah,
Sure.
I remember like the Puerto Rican kids in our neighborhood in Mass used to come by and they would say, "No, we don't want candy. We just like, do you have apples or canned goods or something?" We'd always feel bad as shit, like
Well,
they really. And so, but
talking about Massachusetts, though,
that's probably what. Okay, God.
Well, I was going to say, no, I don't know if you ever heard of it, though, but it says here that in Ohio, Iowa, and Massachusetts, people used to refer to trick-or-treating as beggar's night.
That's it.
I don't know if I remember that.
I don't know. It doesn't say how long. I mean, that could have been 1800s. It doesn't really give a good date.
Sounds like Republicans.
Well, that's what I'm
must have
saying.
said that.
Essentially, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like affluent people just kind of, come get your candy. All right, get out of here.
Yeah,
Skedaddle.
Skedaddle, scram. If they're going to Fraser's house in Boston, I guess maybe beggar's night.
But they also say that the costume idea does go back to the Middle Ages, and I thought the costume idea was kind of the paganism side of it, with the either trying to scare away the ancestors, or the other thing I read where they said some people are trying to disguise themselves so that the ghosts won't recognize them.
Costumes are really kind of a part of all religions.
Oh yeah,
I mean, even when it comes when it comes to like the garments, I mean, it's an underneath costume.
Oh, but
they might come out and say what it represents. It teaches us to be modest. That
they dress up a lot more in the temples than you.
That's what I'm saying.
They just want to make it harder for them to have sex. Like, I gotta get all these clothes off. Just an extra layer to rip through.
Dude, have you seen how many kids they have?
I know.
It doesn't matter.
It's not that difficult.
They don't have
Are there
a problem
holes
with that.
in them? Because I thought they weren't supposed to take them off at all.
Yeah, but they do.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? The three S's. It's like swimming, showering, and sex, or something like that.
Which is odd because
I never heard that.
I can't remember when it was. If it was last year or 2 years ago, down
That's probably right though.
not Bountiful.
I don't
think it was
know.
Bountiful.
How does swimming fit into those other
don't know.
two?
Well, because you can't wear a bathing
No,
suit.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
Unless it's the 1800s.
It just seems oddly out of place there.
Maybe it was shitting. I don't know.
I'd have to refer to that Mormon sex book.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Mormon sex book.
You never heard the Mormon sex book?
Is it like Kama Sutra but one page?
It's not one page, but there's a book that
The missionary.
There's a book that they kind of. There's a book they kind of gave out for a guide
Nice.
because I guess somehow
Oh,
some
I've
of
heard
them
that.
do not know
Well,
how to have the sex.
I've read a few of those blogs where it talked about waiting till your wedding night and the disasters that people have gone through. Like, we're both awkward and don't know what the fuck to do with
Where
these
does
things.
it go?
Yeah.
That's not the right
Oh.
hole. Or is it?
I have to wait a little bit. I gotta warm the engine up.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
it
mean-
doesn't discuss oral sex at all in the LDS Guide to Sex
No, I think it's
Makings.
illegal.
I'm gonna have to get a copy of that book. I remember when they released it, and I swear it had a few weird things in there that you wouldn't expect
Actually-
for them to have.
I think oral is okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Really?
think it was actually in there.
Yeah, I think it.
I should get in and research it, then I'll come here with the full assertion. and
I've
let you
always
guys know.
understood that oral sex in the LDS faith is strictly verboten.
Yeah, but it might
I
have
think
been
it's okay, woman to man.
It might have been okay
yeah?
before Viagra, but I'm not
not
sure.
The filleting is okay, but the cunnilingus is not okay.
Well, it's
Yeah.
because you got
Thou
to take
shalt
care.
not
You need to take
cunnilingus.
care of your prophet.
Yeah,
That's your priesthood holder.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I think oral's okay to some extent.
I don't know, man.
What's their foreplay like? Oh,
After
baby,
8+ kids, you got to be able to mix in a few different things.
you've got my member full of the priesthood.
So Dan, have you grown up
sir.
your entire life here in Utah? Or where?
I have, except for a short stint in Wyoming when I was very, very young.
Right.
Utah
In
Junior,
Rock
or is-
Springs. The only thing,
I think that's Idaho.
the only things that I
Still the
remember about
suburbs.
living in Rock Springs, Wyoming, were that it was always fucking cold, it was always fucking windy, and some kid stole my football.
Well, because here in
Windy as
Utah,
shit.
I've noticed
right off I-80.
Yeah,
they don't really trick or treat. They trunk or
They
treat.
trunk or treat.
They
Which
there was a
that
mixture
seems
of
to be a fairly
trick-or-treating.
new thing. So
Because when I was younger in Utah, I trick-or-treated like a madman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I trick-or-treated.
I think
we knew the best neighborhoods to hit up.
I think the trunk or treat thing is a
From
fairly
like 6
new.
to 1 in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly new thing that's going on.
Okay.
And I remember, back when I was with my ex-wife and we got one of the little printed out flyers with a rubber band on our doorknob one day from the local ward saying that they were going to be holding their, trick or trunk or treating thing in the church parking lot. And my ex lost her fucking mind. She's like, "What the fuck is this? They're teaching kids to go around to strangers' trunks?"
Right?
But I wonder if
Some stranger with candy fucking go over to them.
I wonder if that has like
That's funny.
the religious influence here,
I don't know if it
has that-
necessarily...
because they don't want you going door to door to strangers. So let's just go to church with people we only know.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So
I
you
think
won't
that's
be
almost kind
exposed
of
to
one of
anything.
more of those Fox News type of things, to where everybody's a pedophile. If someone says hi to your kid, he's after your kid.
But literally in my neighborhood, where I have 2 Mormon churches and 2 Catholic churches within 2 blocks of me,
Catholic churches?
Oh yeah, there's 2. Well,
Crazy.
one's Protestant and one's Catholic. The Protestant one is the one that has the drive-through prayer window.
That is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I like the modernization of some religions. I'm not gonna lie.
But on Halloween, I don't even
So
bother.
convenient.
I don't even bother buying candy for Halloween anymore because it's all just for me. Because I might have 2 kids come by my house.
I bought a box of full-size
sad.
candy bars for any little bastards to show up at my door. So
Because that's why I'm like. That's why I was like. They don't trick or treat
bastards.
here. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid where when I would get home from trick or treating, my parents would literally have no candy left because it was like a parade of kids going up and down the streets trick or treating. There was no such thing as let's go to the parking lot for 10 minutes and go.
And that was in the
buy
home
cars.
state of Ed Gein and
I
Jeffrey
know.
Dahmer.
Yeah.
Those people like to cut
People
fuckers
in
up.
Utah are worried about it.
Well, they did have some Ted Bundy.
with
Yeah,
the
he stopped in for a little bit, but
it was probably it was 3 years ago when I was living in Clearfield. In one night I had over 300 kids come to my house.
holy shit.
It was so many kids that I didn't even bother closing the door anymore. I just stood out on the front
Yeah.
porch and was just passing out candy after candy after candy.
Oh, yeah.
I bought 2 of the giant fucking bags from Costco of candy, and I went through almost both of those things.
I think I should buy some full-size candy bars for some of those little industrious little entrepreneurs.
Like,
that
dude,
are willing to still get out there and huff it.
Oh yeah, I did. I'm like,
It's just like
we're new to
Gilbert.
the neighborhood. I went out and bought a box of full size candy bars. I was like, they'll know that they can stop by the atheist's home to get the good shit.
Just like those door-to-door. It's like, your kid selling something for school. I don't buy it ever from a parent. Like,
No.
if a kid comes...
Yeah. Yeah.
then
I
I'm kind of
always buy
interested.
shit from little kids,
Yeah.
like lemonade stand on the
Right,
side
right,
of the
right.
road.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
pull
yeah.
over and buy it. If it's little kids or kids coming around selling candy bars and shit, I always buy that stuff.
Well, I know Danielle and I were super excited last year. It was our first Halloween in the place that we're in, and we stayed all dressed up and we're all ready to go. We have our little witch's cauldron thing full of candy. One fucking little shit
yeah.
came by. That's
Really?
it. Just one fucking. And granted, we live on a dead end, but it's like. Dude,
There's
we
still
we
homes
thought-
all around
yeah,
the
I know.
loop,
We thought
man.
there would be and nothing. So we're just
So
like,
that's what I'm
fuck
saying.
this
That's
shit,
why you got to
man.
reward those kids, because at least those kids have normal, productive
Yeah,
parents.
we
They're
gave them
probably
handfuls.
teaching them
Yeah,
things.
we did,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's just in the back of my mind. I'm like, fucking Mormons fucking my shit up in every more aspect. Like this wouldn't be a normal topic that you come up with on why religion is bad.
because because they don't let their kids trick or treat.
Yeah, because nobody comes by my house and eats my fucking candy. Send your little shits over. I don't, I don't
I've
care
had
that you
enough
have-
fucking cavities. I want to give your kids some.
Yeah, this is the one time I'm going to appreciate that you have 18 little fucking shits. Send them to my house on Halloween.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, some of the little fucking kids
They
who can
don't.
just barely step up the stairs and everything coming knocking on the
Yeah.
door. So fucking cute.
That's
Just
what I'm saying.
yeah.
I like to see the kids get out. I can
For sure.
understand
For sure.
from a parent's
And it's fun.
perspective. I can understand why you're worried about your kids, but if you're with
Yeah,
them, be
but-
involved.
Yeah.
I mean,
be involved. Go walk with them.
Right.
My parents, my
Right.
grandmother would
Yeah.
come trick or treating with us when we were kids.
There's some people that could be freaking dicks about it, though. I mean, everyone might
Yeah,
not be
but-
as nice as an atheist.
I know.
You got Christians out
right.
there.
Yeah, but
watching the game.
But isn't that a part of life though too? I mean,
You got to learn about assholes.
Exposure.
you learn. Some people
you
are
have
cool
to be
and some
exposed to
people aren't.
assholes.
It's honestly true, and that's one of the
Yeah.
things. Like we were kind of talking about that little shooting earlier.
I mean, you can't.
that
You can't.
school shooting, and I think that one of my personal philosophies, a lot of people disagree with it, is that these kids are told that they're great from so long, isolated from so much. When they're finally put into somewhat real world or face real crisis, that it's almost like a snapping point for some kids. I think that, I mean, you constantly have
shooters,
that, that you constantly have the reinforcements. Like that one kid that grew up in a fairly, I know, I can't make the assumption. I'm just saying it seems like there's patterns. Because usually these kids are kind of like middle class or fairly decent to do. It's not like it's some dirt poor kid.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But it's always the middle class home. No one expected it from him. They were such nice kids. They grew up right. Their parents went to church.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a pattern.
I hate that we hear that in the reference, like, oh, he was such a good Christian. I don't know why he would do that.
I fucking hate that shit. Whenever I hear, oh, he's such a good Mormon boy. Oh,
that's one of those jokes I like to say. I'm like,
Christian.
I'm sure there's about 90% of people in prison that are Christian too.
Yeah, sure. Well, then it's like, well, if he was such a good Mormon boy, why are you a leader in that? If he was such a good Mormon boy, why are you a leader in that church? Mm-hmm. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, and Neil deGrasse Tyson grew up poor as shit in the Bronx. Kiss my ass.
And that's one of those things that I'm saying. It's usually like, it seems weird, but poor people are used to having some shit.
Yeah.
Like,
they know how to
you say
handle
something to them, it's like,
Yeah.
Been there.
At least I didn't get punched.
I think all four of us
at least it
grew
was
up
just
poor.
one of them.
Yeah, I think all four of us grew up pretty poor.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing
millionaire
anyone ever
friends down
said
the
or did
street.
to me that made me feel like I
But you don't know the
needed to
difference as a kid.
go crazy out of school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole process of going through being able to handle difficult situations. And if you've never been handled any kind of difficult situation,
That's what
what
I'm
do you
saying.
do? Yeah.
It's those challenges that make you stronger. And if you go through life with no challenges and your mom telling you that you're the greatest thing from out the womb, and then you realize that you're not.
Which I was doing some thinking about that the other day because I got some fairly conservative friends at work, and they were going off about the whole. I know it's
At a military
base?
installation?
I know.
That's crazy.
It's horrible. But they were kind of going off on the whole thing and the fucking liberal agenda. The liberal agenda.
Oh.
Everybody's got to get a trophy now. Everybody's got to be treated equally. Everybody's got to be like this. Like everybody, you don't have to do anything. You get an award for it. I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, weren't you the one that like last year that was complaining about church basketball because they don't keep score? Everybody wins. I don't think that's liberal at all at your Mormon church.
I think that's almost like it's even with the kind of trick or treat thing. I don't really think that's necessarily like a church thing. I don't think it's necessarily a party thing. I think it's kind of one of those mommy things. Yeah, I think sometimes the values that are instilled in you by being a supposedly good Christian mom will make you overreact to certain things. Like, I'm supposed to be a good Christian mom. My kids aren't supposed to suffer. I'm supposed to be a good Christian mom. My kids are all supposed to get trophies.
Yeah, I think there is kind of a bubble atmosphere, though.
Yeah.
Even the moms and dads or whatever still have that. I mean, you find that all the time here. Like, and I haven't been to Alabama enough or whatever, but at other highly religious states. But in Utah, you find adults that are like supposed to be your age, and numerically they are. But then you talk to them, and you're like, "You're fucking 12, dude.
They're basically
Have you done
invalids.
anything ever?" Yeah, they don't know shit about it. Like, that's why the Mormon mission is such a life-changing important, because all of a sudden they're on Earth for 2 years. It's like, here, take 2 years and $20,000 and go survive in a place where other people live their whole life.
And then at the same time, it's almost like the vacation syndrome.
Yes.
Because even when you're out there, you're always doing something fun. Everyone's always inviting you for dinner.
And you know that you have mommy's credit card in your back pocket.
That's what I'm saying.
Though the people you're talking to don't have that.
It's like
so
people
there's
who
still
visit
a disconnect.
It's like people who visit Hawaii and like, oh, that's a great place to live.
Sure.
Like, yeah, until you have to pay for it.
Sure.
Like you could go out there on vacation after you saved up where you live with a reasonable rent.
Yes.
Go to New York, go to Boston, and pay that rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they learn a few things because they see it, but they don't really experience it.
That's what I'm saying. You don't live it.
Right.
You need to suffer. I'm a big believer in you need to suffer.
I can't agree. I can't,
You and Mother Teresa.
I really
well,
If you suffer, you learn humility, and you learn how much a helping hand really helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. You learn appreciation. You learn.
You learn to appreciate the shit,
You learn
that you got.
as
You're
they
not a
say- used
spoiled
to
little
say,
turd.
You learn to play it forward.
Yep.
Like, hey, I was in a bad situation. Someone helped me. Here's how I'm going to help you.
Yep.
And pass it on.
And people get rather offended when you call Mother Teresa a bitch.
Well, did you?
I don't.
She had a letter when she was dying where she started questioning God.
Oh, I didn't know that
Questions
one.
all throughout her ministry.
Yeah.
She
Well, they were
had
saying
doubts.
like her final letter.
Yeah, she
I
had
know.
doubts
I know.
the whole time.
I know about her slum clinics and how poorly she actually treated people, and
Yeah,
that was the reason
while
why
she would take
became,
first class flights.
Well,
back
I
and
think
forth.
that's another one of those freaking bubble things because when you're out in the world, you learn a little bit more about God's miracle. Like life seems miraculous when you're living next to a fucking Starbucks and a McDonald's and you have a roof over your head.
Yeah, sure.
Like be poor, be suffering, go to a third world country, a real third world country, not a place where you're waiting for your fucking iPhone to come out,
Yeah.
and then find out what suffering is like, and then
Yeah.
talk about how life is all good.
Yeah,
That
someone
God creates this, but not that.
Someone in the Atheists of Utah Facebook group posted a screen grab they got of one of their LDS friends. It was this girl talking about, oh, I've been so tired and so busy with things that I wasn't able to study for this test recently, but God is great. And, I found out that the test was postponed. And so now I don't have to take it. And, everything is so wonderful. God works in tiny little miracles every single day. And you need to recognize that shit. And I was
not a
like,
fucking
for who?
miracle.
And I was like,
And
so
for who?
yeah, exactly. That was my point. For who? No, okay, yeah, great. It works out for you, but what about the people who planned on taking
Yes.
that test that day, who,
Who
did
studied all
prepare,
night the night before,
who
now
studied all
pissed
night the
off
night
and they're not gonna
before,
be able to take it?
and now
Yep.
probably at the whenever the test is going to be rescheduled, they've already got other shit
Yeah.
planned, and
God
and
fucked
it's going
all
to
them
fuck
over.
all. Yeah, fuck everybody else. It doesn't matter because it helped me personally.
Well,
Or what
God-
about 10-year-old Ngayo who just wore a hole in his shoes at 11 years old on his way to the well to get water for his family in Congo, and now is dealing with that shit that he has no idea where another pair of shoes or the next bucket of water might come from? Is that a fucking miracle for Ngayo?
Well, and it was all just the self-centeredness of posts like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
where
it
you don't think
always
about
is.
where it's you're only focusing on yourself. You don't think about the consequences of those actions for other people at all.
or for the lives of anybody
Yeah.
else.
It's the question that I often ask my kids. I'm like, what's the greatest city on earth? What's the greatest state on earth? What's the greatest
Yeah, those are great
country on
questions,
earth?
'cause that's really
it's because
tough.
the only thing that people say is where they live. It's what you know.
Right.
It's like everybody has this desire to feel like they are the greatest. They're within the greatest. They're part of the greatest. We don't think of the world like one of the big things that I look at when I'm watching media talk to people is they seem to care a lot more about just America, mostly just Utah, mostly just their city. They don't think about things as a world problem. When you look at Ebola, when you look at suffering, disease, they make fun of people that want to go over and help the people that are dying from this disease. They don't want them to come back over here, quarantine them, keep them over there, cancel their flights back to America for doing the Christian thing that you're supposed to do and helping people.
Well, and that there's the whole thing about and there's the whole thing about well, I have a Christian worldview. No, if you have a Christian worldview, you don't have a worldview. You have a neighborhood
asshole's
view.
local view.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but what he was saying takes me back to the conversation we had 2 weeks ago, I guess, was it? Where if they had a real Christian worldview, they would believe in the power of Jesus and they wouldn't give a shit about the power of Ebola. Right? They wouldn't give a shit about that.
But you can't actually survive believing. I mean, that's why anyone that's Christian.
Then don't say you can.
I know.
They'll tell everybody else in the world that you can, and then
Yeah, but
they
that's
don't fucking act like
That's
it.
just the
That's what
speech.
drives me nuts.
That's just the speech.
Yeah,
That's
so
where
they
you just
don't
say that
truly
you.
believe
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
Me
I think
too.
most of them don't
Me
believe it.
too. I was against these guys 2 weeks ago on that whole point.
They really don't believe it. They just say this shit. It's like you say this is the greatest country in the world.
I mean, they do
First
it to
of all,
a point.
it
but-
is a great country to live in. There's a lot of fantastic things to do. I don't know what makes a country the greatest in the world because I'm not a
Yeah,
fucking 2-year-old. Like my daddy can't beat up your fucking daddy. I don't think about those type of arguments.
Right.
Like
And
this
who
is our
cares?
world.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's have a global economy.
I've always had the view of, and some people don't like the idea, but I've always thought either A, when you get out of high school, you should either A, join the military or the Peace Corps. You should have joined one of those
Yes.
for at least a minimum of 2 years and at least serve overseas someplace. So you can come back and be like, you know what I got here ain't too fucking bad.
Sure.
I almost agree with you.
Even on my worst day, it's better than someone else over there's best day.
I almost agree with you outside of like you can opt out if you could pass an asshole test. Like, if you seem like a decent, well-rounded kid, then maybe you don't have to join.
Yeah.
I think the Peace Corps would be great. I wanted to join the military. I didn't join the military.
Yeah,
I
same.
was going through electrician school. I was kind of getting into my family groove. So, I mean, it was always my goal. But at the same time, and me and you were having this conversation, you join the military is another interesting thing because you're taking orders from people whose directives you might not necessarily agree with.
And I would have
I think
to
it teaches
agree
a lot of maturity, though.
It does teach maturity.
I would have to agree with you on an overall picture for sure, for the most part. But I still think that those lessons could be learned if you grow up in certain parts of this country.
You could you could do local help. I'm just saying, do you want to be part of like a Bush Army?
Well, and Ryan talking about you should join the military or the Peace Corps and travel and do whatever.
The Peace Corps
reminded me
good.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of Mark Twain's quote where he said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on those accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime."
But at the same time,
yeah, and
you
that's
can
what I
still-
agree with. Yeah,
you can still have some of the most traveled assholes in this world. And it's like I said, it's the vacation mentality. You go somewhere for a week or two, you don't really experience it. You're not working there. You need to live somewhere else. You need to try to survive in that economy, work with those people, and not expect those people to serve you.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. And I think that is part of the global American attitude.
That's what I'm saying. And that's
like, you got guys like Mitt Romney that go to Paris for 2 months. They're not learning. They're learning fuck all going to. Like they're spending $2 million in a month or two.
They're learning how to order.
Go to
the
Guyana.
number.
But that's not what you're talking.
They're learning
about.
how to order the number 10 on the menu.
I mean, Guyana is still a pretty. I mean,
Even still, dude.
go to a place with no running water, no plumbing,
Yeah.
no real infrastructure.
He's not going to. But I'm just saying. I that's why I say I agree
And
to
help
to
them.
a point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where you need to learn
Mostly,
to
I
suffer.
agree.
I don't want people to suffer because
and
you need
that's-
pain. I'm
No.
just saying you need to learn how to survive without.
But just to understand general humanity. I
Yes.
mean, 90% of the world lives without the stuff that we take for granted
Yeah.
every day. So
I mean, you may bitch
I
that
think that's the general point. right? I mean,
your phone doesn't have a good enough service to go on Tinder right now.
Yeah, right,
When there's
right.
some dude in the country goes a phone.
right.
What the fuck is that?
They won't let me say my prayer in the school, recognized by the whole school, yet over in the Middle East, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Right.
That experience. Like
Right.
real
Or-
persecution.
Or I need to find a properly rotted log to find enough maggots to feed my sister who won't so she doesn't die today. in the
Yeah.
hut. That kind of shit. I didn't
Or
live
just-
that, but I'm just that might be
Or
pretty
just being able to
extreme,
do
but
something
still.
as simple as
It's
going
still
over
something that happens.
going
it
over to a
does,
foreign
yeah.
country and building a simple structure for people and then seeing how happy they are just to have that structure. It's like these people are elated just to have something with four walls and a roof. There's nothing in it, yet they are.
And a dirt floor.
Yeah, they are elated. They are so happy just to have that.
Well, that's kind of my thing now. I mean, you need to kind of have like a worldview. Like, I can understand patriotism for your country. I can understand you want to take care of your family. Absolutely relatable. But don't make opinions on things you don't fucking know.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
not
people
a
seem to
view of
wanna
the
be.
world, but
Yeah.
a world view.
That's why it came up on the Atheist of Utah Facebook one thing like 3-4 weeks ago, and I was thinking of chiming in on it, but I didn't. But someone put in there like, "Hey, what do y'all think about a world economy and a world like a single unit government, a world government?" It's kind of like, I know a lot of people are
Single world
gonna.
government definitely. I mean, it's highly
It's
complicated
iffy
thing.
to say on it, but it's kind of like there should be. I think the world should work as one
Because if-
instead of separate entities.
It's going to have to now.
But imagine
I mean,
our
because-
government combined with the world. Like, if that type of corruption reaches world level,
I mean, it depends
to where they're making states decisions for all of
It
America.
already is, but it's
again.
basically ruled by corporations.
It's
now.
basically
It
ruled by
is.
corporations
But it's-
here. But I mean, imagine
It's complicated,
China's
like you said.
interest to be in the.
It depends on who.
Yeah.
If America is combined with China and Russia, bad.
If you take a look at
But
our,
if America is combined with Sweden and Iceland, maybe that balance.
What if you had a world with no borders?
Well, I think that's what we're coming to. I mean,
But I mean, still, like you don't even need a passport. It's kind of like I'm saying a world with no borders, where okay, this area needs help. Like we have a hurricane, we spend billions on stupid shit, but it's kind of like, hey, we already do. We already kind of do when something happens in a foreign country, all the other countries come together. Like I was looking at I was doing some research on what money was spent in different like Haiti and all the other like major disasters we've had in the past like 3 years, and the amount of countries that are involved is like, even though if they only were able to do a little bit, it's like, well, Vietnam went to Haiti and they were only able to help out with, securing water sources, and Sweden was there securing this for people, and this country was doing this. So on that level, we're already on a world level to help when a major disaster comes.
Yeah.
But we're not on a level to help each other out during minor things like, oh, they can deal with that themselves.
Yeah, versus groups like, the Catholic Church sending, 12,000 rosary beads and shit.
And Bibles.
Yeah.
And filling trucks that should have been filled with purified water and food, filling them with Bibles and shit like that.
I got into an argument with my buddy over that when I brought that up to him. Like, look what good they're doing. He's like, well, they're the first ones to go every time. And that's when I was doing the research.
The first ones to go and do absolutely no fucking good.
Yeah, that's when I had to do the research.
To go on all the fucking money that they don't pay taxes on and don't give anything back.
But here was the thing with them.
Back.
With the biggest Christian what did you call it? Well, not denomination. They're the biggest aid foundation they have.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it right now, but when I looked at the timeline for when aid was given and what countries it was, they were like the very fucking last to even show up on the ground. And it was like, oh, you provided 4,000 tarps.
Yeah.
And Bibles.
Right.
And rosaries.
With all the money that they get for free and show nothing for. And still rape our kids every week. I'm going to do it every week.
But yet, if you go to their...
going on 4 weeks now.
If you go to their website... They claim that they donated something like $200 million to Haiti. It's like, wait, but if you go to what this aid list shows, it shows that you donated rosaries and tarps to Haiti.
They include their costs for travel and food and lodging for their people.
An hourly plus their room and board.
Sure.
And it's like there was something like 90,000 or 100,000 people displaced during Haiti.
The hours
and you
that they
donated
worked.
4,000 tarps.
Even if it was
$100
even
an
if
hour.
it was $2 million, what does that compare to their monthly income?
No, but so I think the more noble thing is saying
answer. No,
like even China sent its military forces there to do search and rescue operations to pull people out of rubble. That's more noble than sending.
And that's
rosaries.
China.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the Ebola situation in Cuba, they're sending doctors over left and right. They sent like 900 doctors over.
Who is
Cuba?
Cuba.
Cuba,
the country that we still have sanctions on, and they renew them every year, which is something I just found out this year. That every year they
every single year they have to renew it. Yeah,
isn't that wild?
But they removed the sanctions from North Korea though, so they're okay.
Right.
There's only one,
which is so much less threatening at this point than Cuba.
I guess they didn't piss us off. They're not making those fine cigars.
Well, Kim Jong-un needed a doctor for that ankle surgery, so he probably had to use one of ours.
Well, and the difference between the two is that Cuba wants to be able to trade with us. North Korea still tells us to fuck off.
Yeah, so
yeah. Oh, God, I hate that.
It's just kind of talk about this worldview thing, and like you were mentioning, kind of, helping out with relief. It makes me think about when you talk about infrastructure in this country, why we don't actually have a fucking surgeon general to help mitigate this fucking Ebola problem.
Yeah,
even the E48 flu, which is much worse than Ebola.
Yeah, people are pissed off that
terrifying.
People are pissed off that Obama appointed flu czar. Well, he fucking had to because we don't have a surgeon general.
But czar is communist.
Jason Chaffetz sitting up there complaining about
what an asshole that guy is.
The surgeon general don't handle it when you're part of
and
the
he
fucking...
didn't fucking know that we don't have a surgeon general. He had no fucking clue. Why isn't the surgeon general handling this? Why is he appointing a czar instead of having the surgeon general do this? Because we don't fucking have one, you asshat.
But when you think about that type of thing, and then you think about Hurricane Sandy, which they're talking about New Jersey is going to be underwater again this year. You look at Katrina.
Yeah.
There's no fucking thinking of infrastructure. All people care about is no new taxes.
Yep.
We don't want to be taxes. We're taxed enough already, even though our tax rate pretty damn low compared
pretty
to most
fucking
countries.
historically low.
Our business tax rate is considered the highest, but the actual paid is the lowest.
Yeah.
Well, I think we hit on that last week about Republicans blaming Obama for Ebola.
Yeah.
It's kind of his fault.
Well, they actually, I thought they found patient zero, and the patient zero was like an 11-year-old child
for
Ebola.
Southside Chicago.
Yes, it was his daughter.
Yeah. 'Cause I think
Was the
Damn
child,
you, Malia.
was the child holding his birth certificate?
It might have been fake. It might have been a fake one.
Was it
We
the
might have to
full
get it checked.
form?
The funny thing is the birth certificate that they blame Obama for, saying, "Oh, that's not the full one. We need the real one." It's like, well, guess what? I got one that's fucking with less info on it than that to get my fucking driver's license and my passport.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that kind of bugged me too, though. I mean, I can understand why he does it, but I wish Obama would not cave on some of that shit. Fucking never let him see your goddamn form. Let
Did we
him go
ever
to
see
their
Romney's?
graves claiming? No, I don't
Right.
even know if we saw all of his taxes
Right.
either.
No, yeah, he
And
wouldn't
that's-
even release
no,
all of
we
his
didn't.
taxes.
no, he
Even-
said flat out he wasn't going to show it.
He did what, 3 years? And normally it's like 15. And even Romney's
Well, ordinarily,
father
yeah.
gave up like 15 years worth of his stuff.
Yeah. Romney's like, no, I'm not going to do it at all until there was enough pressure
But
that he's
he
like,
better
okay,
give
fine.
me his birth certificate, that fucker.
I don't get the whole birth certificate thing anyway. Like, he doesn't even have an accent or anything.
It's
Like nothing about
it's just
him
they
seems
throw
foreign
whatever
at
will
all.
they seem will
Yeah.
stick at him.
Well, it's racism.
And yet one of the biggest guys for the birther movement has a father from Cuba and was born in Canada. His name
Fucking
is
Ted
Cruz.
Cruz.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, I'm eligible for president because I'm a
No.
nationalized.
Nope.
Like, whoa, but you weren't even born in this
You
country.
can't be you're not eligible if you're naturalized.
I
You
actually
have to
think that
be.
they said that his mother was
an American citizen, but he
So-
was born in Canada.
because she was American. I
So
guess they
then,
say
yeah,
that
he would be.
can.
that qualifies
Well, and
him.
it's McCain's father even was, or was it McCain or Romney?
Romney's father was in Mexico.
Was
Oh, right.
and so there was some questions about that, but I think it was actually McCain who his father was
with
also.
the Mormons versus the drug cartel.
But isn't that
is
interesting,
the
though? You
most
got
interesting.
You got McCain, Romney, and Cruz, who all are somewhat questionable, and then all
Or
of
the
them
only- the only-
are like at the forefront of challenging Obama.
Yeah.
Well,
And the only thing
I don't know
Obama
if
is
I'd
a
put
first
them.
generation American, right?
I don't know if I'd put them at the forefront. They're kind of
His
reactionary.
first generation?
Well,
First
I would
generation.
say
No.
Cruz.
No,
His
his mom
father
and
It
grand-
was like someone else
Well,
brought it
I mean,
up.
if you
and
look
they
at his
just leaped
father
on that
only, but
bandwagon.
his-
But his mother
They
was
might be the
born in
most-
Hawaii when
they
it
might
wasn't
be
a
the
state.
most visible. But it was someone else that came up with the idea.
Maybe so. Yeah.
So I don't know if that would make him a first generation American, having his mom born in Hawaii when it was not a state,
I don't know.
or if she's automatically granted citizenship, but she wasn't born in the United States. She's born in Hawaii when it was its own colony.
Who's this?
Obama.
Obama. Saying his dad,
The president.
his dad obviously was not born in the United States.
Well, when was his mom born?
Hello.
Well, he was
Ryan.
born
Can you hear me?
in like what, the 60s.
It's Obama.
Obama became a state in 1959.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hawaii and Alaska were both 1959.
That's pretty interesting history on Hawaii. I was listening to it on that hardcore history I was telling you about. And it was like they helped when the United States kind of helped overthrow the Queen of Hawaii in like 1906. And you like when you think about things in that term, I mean, it kind of gives you perspective. It's like you never really think about the past and how recent a lot of things that are accepted now,
Right.
when they really changed.
It'd be like in 100
It's
years,
like
the
thinking that-
state of Iraq, and everyone would be like, "Oh, did you know, like in 2001, that Bush invaded, and that's how they would never even."
It's like thinking under God was always in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah,
Right,
or on
right.
our currency.
Yeah,
I actually had a talk with a buddy today about that. He is an atheist. He's not very religious, but we're kind of having a talk.
Wait,
And
he's an atheist, and he's not very religious.
no, not religious. Well, his family's religious. He's not religious. We're kind of talking about how he just had a kid, and I was doing some baby photos for him, and he's saying, I'm really dreading this fact that my parents he's like, I know they're going to push religion on this subject about getting him baptized and having our child in the church because they've already done it with his other family members. And he's like, I'm dreading that because I don't want to put a divide between me and my parents, but they still believe in that. And I had quoted to him, I'm trying to think of it right now, where I basically said, tell me what's missing from this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the union for which it stands with liberty and justice for all. So what's missing? There's two things missing. I'm like, under God and republic. I'm like, that is how how our Pledge of Allegiance was originally written. It was to the union, not to the republic, and then God was never in it. He's like, really? I'm like, it was because of McCarthy in the late 40s, early
Red
50s,
Scare.
because of the Red Scare.
The Red Scare is quite interesting. That's also what kept us wonderful Americans away from the metric system.
which is
Because
stupid.
getting into the metric system is like getting into communism.
Yep.
But the metric system is so much fucking easier. It's
And
all
that's-
by 10.
And
But I won't.
that's the reason why atheism is so bad too, because it was the Soviet atheists
But
versus
to
the
be
God.
somewhat honest about it, there's also like union membership. I'm a union member. I'm a big fan of unions.
Me
union
too.
membership.
Sure.
Union
Union
membership
high
was
five.
also against it because they were worried it's going to export jobs. Like, well, you see how that worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, they could buy new wrenches.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, some people don't even realize, even if they're on in the same camp as us, they're like, well, fuck, I didn't know it wasn't until like the late 1950s. I'm like, yeah, and the same thing with the money. And God We Trust was not on our money prior to 1956.
I believe so.
And that's kind of one of my other little America gripes. I try not to, because I know I cannot be accused of being like a socialist. Which on some policies I kind of am socialist, but you know, it's just when it comes to like Americans and needing to be different than everybody else. And it seems like a lot of people that you meet don't fucking care to learn. They don't care to learn a damn thing. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like if it isn't about me paying off my credit card and watching American Idol, I could give a shit less.
Yeah.
It seems to be a lot of people's attitudes. Not only that, they almost seem to like relish in their ignorance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
That,
like,
that
I'm
was
stupid.
huge.
I
That
love
was
it.
huge throughout. That was huge throughout Bush's presidency.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I mean, he reveled in being fucking ignorant.
That's why anytime I say anything stupid, I say double down, because that's all the bastards do. Just double down.
Like we're talking about
Stand by what I
earlier.
said.
Well, people are always like, America, it's the greatest country on earth. And I always tell guys at work, I'm like, are you fucking serious? You know, we're one of the last in medicine, lifespan, education, healthcare.
But we're
There are
number
third
one
world-
in the cost.
For
Yeah.
industrial.
Yeah. There are third world countries that have better fucking healthcare than we do.
Not many, but yeah.
Not many, but they're out there.
Well,
But
when-
as far as the industrialized
when
nations,
people say number one, I always say in what? Like, what are you
it's,
Yeah.
spending
in
money.
Well, if you say
in
third,
military?
if you
Yeah,
say
that's
third
it.
world
Yeah,
and
that's
ahead of us, that pretty much speaks for itself, regardless of how many there are.
Yeah.
Well, in terms
Like
of
we consider
if
you
it's
less than
one.
modern civilization, but you're better at us in this aspect.
in terms of literacy, we're just above El Salvador, and belief in evolution or acceptance of evolution, we're just below Turkey.
But we think
So-
Hispanics should be able to speak English, even though half the people here can't. They
Yeah.
can
Sure.
speak in LOL.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so
yeah.
speaking of belief in evolution, I'm sure you guys have seen the headlines or read the
Yes.
story
Yes.
about Pope Fluffy saying that evolution and the Big Bang are
True.
yeah they're basically fact.
I want to know when this is going to get rebutted, because the atheist thing got rebutted, the gay thing got rebutted. You fucking know that this is going to be rebutted, saying,
Well,
the Pope
he
spoke
may
too
have
soon.
The one
said
thing that he
that.
said, he did say that it still kind of works in
their
line
favor.
with
Well, yeah, but-
intelligent design.
Well, yeah. He said that it basically
Without the Big
necessitates a
Bang, there won't
creator.
be a God.
Yeah,
He just said that. Well, he said that one of the craziest phrases I've ever heard in my life is that God doesn't have magical powers, and I'm like, well, that's a bold step within itself. That should probably
yeah.
get
Yep.
bigger headlines than the evolution.
And that's where I got
Right.
kind of thinking, is this Pope a deist?
No.
Well, if he's saying God has no magical powers,
No, but what he's saying,
he
he's
said magical
talking about
wand that he could
he's,
just wave.
He's saying he has
Well,
to
yeah.
respect physical properties.
he's saying evolution is true in the same way that atheists can go to heaven as long as they convert to Catholicism
Yeah.
before they die.
even
It's
if you're
the
a
same-
deist,
it's the
you still
same
believe
thing.
there's something there, there's something bigger than you.
Yeah, but
That's why I was wondering, does
No
he
way.
believe more of there is a bigger power, there's a high power, and
No.
it's his God? Or does he actually really believe? I'm almost wondering if he still believes
no.
that prayer works.
yes, because there's no way a deist would go touch somebody's boils or go try to heal somebody with a prayer. Or
but being a
there's
pope,
no way.
that's part of the Pope job.
That's a part of the Pope job a lot of popes haven't done. I think he's
True.
doing that to kind of
Yeah,
change the face of the
that's
church.
That's
It
a
seems
PR
like-
move. Yeah,
it
that's
seems
exactly
like
what
it's a PR move.
My girlfriend's a deist. There's no way a deist would do any of those physical things. That's just there's some power that wound up the universe and let it go, and that is it. They don't give a shit about human affairs. They don't answer prayers. They don't talk to people. You know, there's none of that stuff. So
Just
I mean,
something bigger.
this Pope is.
Well, I was just thinking
There's no way.
because the Pope basically left it at God created,
A deist is basically an atheist that doesn't. Dare to say
God
that.
created Adam and Eve and basically left it at that.
No,
The
it's
way,
still
the
not
way I was kind of
deistic.
get, like, the Big Bang happened, all the planets were created by themselves, everything was all, part of the Big Bang.
I don't think the
Then
Pope is
God
that.
created Adam and Eve, and that's where God comes in.
I still think that's beyond deism, but I certainly don't think the Pope is a deist.
No, I
I
don't,
don't think so
either.
at all.
I just like to know.
I
Maybe
think
it's more of a hope.
I just like to
I
know.
I think he's more PR intelligent than the other popes have been.
One
Of
the
course, he
things-
wasn't a Nazi youth, so that helps.
Yeah,
One of the
he's
things
Nazi
that I
Pope.
was,
He's
He's what?
Ratzinger
a
was
Nazi Pope.
Ratzinger is Nazi Pope.
Yeah.
One of the things I was kind of thinking
Nazi
about
Pope
getting
anymore.
back to the Adam and Eve thing is I was just thinking to myself the other day, and I'm like, where does it ever mention like the evolution of language within the Bible?
Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
That's
Babel.
multiple languages. I'm saying even a primary language. It never explains
what did Adam and Eve
cave
speak?
writings. Yeah.
Oh, the
No,
Adam
it
and
talks
Eve were
about
able
Adam
to-
going through and naming things.
Yeah.
That
Or
Adam created
you
a
call
name
that a
for
cow. There,
all the
then it was
different
a
beasts.
cow.
And, yeah.
That was the Adamic language, yeah.
Yeah, but
But like the
I'm saying-
Egyptians.
I'm saying you have physical evidence
Like
that
where did
cavemen left
God-
cave writings.
Oh well, okay, but so now there's a conflation, I think, because if you're going by Genesis, you have to stick to it. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about caves, that's way older than that's 30 to 50,000 years. Adam and Eve is
Oh, okay,
6.
my bad.
So you
Well,
know what I'm
just-
saying?
yeah.
So like you can't really.
Well, I just kind of wondered
because creationists won't accept those.
Yeah,
cave-
but we're only
Oh, they don't accept
4,000
cave
years,
writings?
6,000 years old. How can they be
Yeah,
4,000
well,
years old?
right.
Well, and the
Ah,
Pope
you're funny.
and the Pope went a step further, and he said, that if he basically said that the Bible cannot be taken literally. Because he
Which
said, if you
everybody
read through Genesis and
knows,
think that that's
no
an
one
actual
takes the
account,
Bible
that's not
literally.
what happened.
No one.
Some people
No
do.
one don't eat seafood because it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm saying no one.
All right, fair
Very,
enough.
very few. Very
But they
few.
want to condemn
on that
homosexuals.
level, I'll
as a
agree.
loose
Nobody
language.
burns their
nobody
sheets
does,
because
yeah.
their woman's menstruating. There's such a big section focusing on women's menstruation and being unclean and unholy.
Yep.
Depends on how
lives
heavy
by
that flow was. Sometimes bet you just fucking.
I'm just saying there's things that nobody follows. They're
No, that's true. Yeah,
like the
yeah.
happy clappy kind of new
Oh, yeah.
Bible stuff.
It's pretty much impossible, I think, to take the whole Bible literally. So,
No, that's what I'm
so
saying.
in
You
that
can't.
sense, nobody does.
The whole
yeah.
Bible, literally, you'd be
Well,
poor and dead.
Yeah.
That's why I've always thought the
Yeah.
people that live truest to their religion, to their scripture, are probably Quakers, Mennonite, maybe not Mennonite,
Yeah,
but Amish.
Right.
Probably live the closest to their scripture as possible with their dress, with the way they
Except, though, that they don't perform any stonings.
Yeah, so
just shun.
so I just
If your
looked
child
at
but still-
disobeys you, their child should be killed.
Yep.
So I just looked it up
But-
online,
so-
and so Pope
Yeah, so nobody-
Pope Fluffy said, when we read about creation in Genesis, we run the risk of imagining God was a magician with a magic wand able to do everything, but that is not so. He created human beings and let them develop according to the internal laws that he gave to each one so they would reach their fulfillment. The Big Bang, which today we hold to be the origin of the world, does not contradict the intervention of the divine creator, but rather requires it.
All right. Okay.
Evolution in nature is not inconsistent
Yep.
with the notion of creation because evolution requires the creation of beings that evolve.
All
So
right,
is he saying that God created arithmetic?
So,
because I
but-
think he would lose a lot of followers.
But so I mean, right there, he basically blows away, the notion that anybody should take the Bible literally.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but at the same time, this is chapter 2 out of the Discovery Institute Handbook for Religion.
Yeah,
I mean, this is intelligent design all over the place.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
everything science can prove
Is part of
probably-
God's plan.
Is probably true. However, insert God of the gaps argument here. They don't explain this, and so there's the need for our God, and it doesn't contradict anything that we've already
answer me
previously.
this.
However, all the Catholic doctrine up until this point has always said Adam and Eve, Genesis, all that stuff's literal. God is a magician, and he's omnimax, which now he's going back on.
And that's where I get into the argument of religion versus belief. Because even if you believe in the Bible, for one, I don't think there's ever a chapter in the Bible that says to take this book literally. I think that's where religion comes into play. I think a belief in something as opposed to religion getting their hands on it. This guy's saying, this is how God wants you to do this, and I am in control. I separate the two. I'm still not a fan of either. I don't believe in the Bible. I really don't believe in organized religion, but I think that organized religion is just a way to co-opt it, almost corporatize the religious process to get people to follow. Like, you need to be part of this group. This is where we meet. This is what we do. Because you get the Bible, which tells you to live one way, and then you get your priest, preacher, bishop, whatever, telling you these rules go on top of what they didn't mention in there. God left this out, but let us fill in the blanks.
Sure. I think there's a lot of that too. And I actually don't think that the Bible says take this literally, but
It doesn't.
there's a lot of places where it does say, you know, this is what I say, and I'm the Lord, or I am the Lord, thus saith the Lord, you know, whatever, all that stuff, which is pretty emphatic, you know, and it's the saying, in a sense, saying, you know, this is.
It's in a sense, but I'm just saying, I think that a book, at best, I put the Bible as a book of parables.
Oh yeah.
People, because I mean, most of it,
yeah,
a lot of it
best.
written after the people that actually wrote it. It's stories that have been handed down for generations.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a guideline. Hey, if you get in this situation, it'd be like if you could really make a modern day Bible. You could easily cover like the 7 deadly sins. This is a story of lust. This is a story of greed. This is the way that you can be destroyed. Learn from these lessons. And that's what I always try to think of the Bible as. It's like, it's just a book of parables that for some reason this church dude told you, take it literally. Now you think you need to hate gay people.
Yeah.
It strikes me
not
as
necessarily-
a book of fiction.
It's not
for sure.
necessarily in the book, but
Yeah. Well, I'm saying it's not necessarily saying this is exactly how you must
that's
lead your
what I'm
life.
saying. And that's how, and people pick and choose, but they, in their own hypocrisy, don't realize that they pick and choose. Like I said, they eat shellfish.
Yep.
You guys,
They don't even know that that's in there.
you don't throw away your bed sheets. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most people don't know their own
They don't
Bible.
even know it's
and
in there.
They don't know the history of their Bible. They don't know how many times it's been translated. They don't know
Yeah.
that
Well,
there was a time when you weren't allowed to read it.
Especially the people that think King James is the best version.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or that it's the first version. I heard somebody
It's the
say that
Reagan
the
of
other
versions.
day.
Serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Reagan of versions. Yes, exactly.
The fucker wanted a divorce. He wrote his own fucking Bible.
Yeah.
But it's that mentality though that you get, that when people say, "Oh, it's the original word of God."
That's what I'm saying. It bleeds,
Your science book has been rewritten how many times?
it bleeds
Well,
back
this is
into
the
that
original
ignorance.
word. Yeah. It's like,
Well, yeah.
no, it's not.
Yeah, read anything by Bart Ehrman.
Do you speak Sumerian? Well, we don't even know what language God spoke, really.
Well, you can't hear God speak. Doesn't that make your head
English,
blow up?
obviously.
Yes.
I think
Well-
it makes your head blow up.
Yeah, well, if anyone ever said that to me, you know, well, we don't know what language God spoke. Well, why didn't he make it clear? Doesn't he give a shit about you?
Didn't
Doesn't
he know
love
what language he'd be speaking?
Wouldn't he do it in like? Wouldn't he make it obvious?
Ask your bishop.
he's-
He speaks
he
to
clearly
him.
hasn't
he speaks
made
to
it
your
obvious.
apostles.
Yeah,
He speaks to your quorum.
the ruler of the universe who knows everything has made it so convoluted and so difficult to understand that he has to speak through
Yeah.
failed and fallible humans to speak in poems and parables that are not going to be
So-
understood in on
Yeah, but those humans aren't
Fuck that
fallible,
shit.
and that's the problem with religion too.
Yeah.
They try to make everybody perfect. Those humans may have made mistakes in their past, but now they are perfection. Their
But-
word
Yeah,
is
well,
God's word.
then
They
God's
are
not
wisdom.
perfect.
I got to hit in that whole
And God's
apostle
not
thing.
because God would have had a perfect plan to
I
make sure
would
that that
agree.
didn't happen.
So if in the Bible, so Mormons claim that the Book of Mormon is an addition to the Bible. It's a book that adds on to the Bible. Like
I think it's
a
the
continuation of the
footnotes.
story.
It's what do they say?
It's the Lord of the
another,
Rings to
it's
the Bible's
another
Hobbit.
testament
To
of the
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, of Jesus.
So,
Christ,
but
yeah.
if in the original Bible it states that God has never spoken to anyone, even though some people got spoke to him in the Bible.
does it say that
Yeah, God has never spoken to anyone and doesn't speak directly to people.
in the Old Testament?
Was it Old Testament where God never spoke, doesn't speak to people?
You can't see the
You
face of
can't.
God.
Yeah.
But I thought it also said he doesn't
You can't
speak.
hear the
Then all of a
voice of
sudden,
God.
He handed,
boom, someone
he-
talked to God.
He handed down
on
the
the
Ten
road.
Commandments to Moses twice on Mount
Yes.
Sinai. So,
But
Yeah, he
no
broke the
one has
first
ever
ones.
spoken to
Yeah.
God.
Well, and all of this,
well, God spoke to Moses through a burning bush as well. So.
Yeah, but no one has ever spoken to God.
He just saw a burning bush.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, continue.
But
with your
that
point.
there is contradictory right there where it says no one has
That
ever
just sounds like
spoken.
Yeah,
that
but
just
go-
sounds
go
like
ahead.
psilocybin.
Well, I was going to say you got 12 apostles or any religion that claims, oh,
Burning
I
bush.
speak with God
Sounds
on a
like
regular
the clap
basis.
to me. Just get a burning bush.
all of
That's
this,
back when bushes
yeah.
were in style.
all of this reminds me of Richard Dawkins talking about the Book of Mormon, where it's supposed to be another testament of Jesus Christ, and Joseph Smith translated,
Yes.
quote translated the golden plates from that he
Whatever
found
the fuck.
found buried in a hill.
He got edumated on how to do it by
was not-
by the
so-
angel
He was not
Moroni.
edumacated in anything.
I love the quote from Dawkins where he says, "This was a 19th century book written in 16th century English." That's
Yes.
not the way people talked in the 19th
Nope.
century.
Yep.
He didn't fucking translate it.
He copied the Bible.
And then the quote goes on, "It's a fake, so it's not beautiful. It's a work of charlatanry." And which, you know, to anybody who stops and thinks about it for half a second is absolutely fucking true.
Yep.
If you're translating something, why the fuck are you not translating it into the actual English that is used in your time? Why are you translating it into
Which brings
16th
me
century English?
almost
Which
by a
was-
circle back to my point. You have Scientologists. You have people that want to worship the Lord of the Rings. You have people that are imitating Twilight. I think there are certain people that they don't care what it is that they hear. They just need to hear something. And they cling to it. Their parents gave it to them, and there's obvious signs in front of them that what they believe is ridiculous. They know it's ridiculous.
It's like-
they're worried. If you look at most religious people, they're more offended by the thought that you think that they're idiots. They know that what they believe in isn't right. They know it. They don't question that.
And those people
They're just
cannot-
trying to deny.
They cannot be considered fully mature.
That's what I'm saying. They can't. They're emotionally. They're not fully mature.
Nope.
They are emotional children.
Yep.
They need a reason. They need something to explain what's happening. Why isn't this life great? Oh, I'm just being punished. God just wants me to be better.
Yeah.
It's like their motivation. I have such
Sky
a hard
Daddy.
problem with that's where before I talked to you guys about, you know, kind of my religious or my atheist militarism. Like, I would be one of those people that try to bash the hell out of people. Like, what you believe in is stupid. You're stupid, blah, blah, blah. But then I start to realize it's like, as strange as it is to say, it's like you're almost taking hope away from these people.
You know,
like,
and-
some people aren't ready to freaking take the blue pill.
Well, and it always in my mind goes back to my idea that, you know, I don't have a problem with people being religious. I really don't. If they want to be religious, if they want to believe in a magical sky daddy or a invisible sky wizard, fine. I don't give a shit. I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with religion when it encroaches on our secular government, on our secular schools, and tries to enforce its view of morality on other people.
And that's
Or
where
just change our history.
that's where I kind of separate the religious person from the religious organizations.
Yeah.
Religious organizations I have no room for.
But organizations are made of people. I mean,
They are.
they're not some, you know, nebulous.
Yeah, but they're almost
ether
like
being. They're
almost
run
like
by
our politicians.
people who-
You guys give us your money, but you have no say in what we're talking about.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of religious people want to say that atheists are out to
Destroy
totally
religion.
that we're just as bad as they are and all that. But
Which is funny. You're just as
you're
bad
just
as we
yeah,
are.
that's what they say. Yeah,
They admit that they're bad.
Yeah,
Have
that's-
fun in your
they don't even
Antichrist
know.
party.
Yeah.
but the proof of
What
it,
was that?
That was just a little comment I got before we came here. Have fun of your Antichrist show. And that takes back of like not believing in something and anti something are two different things.
Yep. Yeah. But the proof that we're not like that is in the fact that you can see all kinds of shows and podcasts and all kinds of stuff about Bigfoot and Loch Ness and all that. Skeptics, rationalists, atheists, we don't give a flying fuck. That's fine. But as soon as you try to tell me that Bigfoot wants this policy enacted and we need to do, then we're going to have a problem. You see, that's the issue. And that's the proof that we're not out to get religious people. Just don't put your fucking Sky Daddy shit into our policy.
I'm fairly certain a state did put a anti-Bigfoot hunting law in their policies.
I would be against that too.
Because
I would be against that
well,
too.
if he is real, he might have feelings.
They don't care about deer.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
but I also feel bad shooting them now too.
Well,
Yeah.
but I'm just
So
saying.
that,
I mean,
that
you know,
almost puts it back into perspective for me. It's like, you know, the Antichrist thing or whatever. I don't research into that shit. I don't care about God. I don't care about Bigfoot. I don't care about Christ. They're all the same thing to me. I'm really interested in like religious history because it's almost like a history, a study of people. It's like anthropology. You learn about how
Anthropology,
these people,
sociology,
you learn about how these people cope with things that happen in their life. When it's like watching the cosmos, seeing people see a shooting star, how to explain it to themselves. You see a comet passing by. Oh, and it's like interesting to find out how all of them thought it meant something bad, regardless of what it was. There was always some person that was willing to capitalize on it. Like, oh, there's a comet. If you don't give me your virgin daughter, God's going to destroy us all.
Right.
If we don't make this sacrifice, God's going to destroy us all. Basically, if it's we don't do what I do, and there's always going to be a person out there like that. And whether it's religion, whether it's Scientology, whether it's aliens, whether it's Bigfoot, there's going to be something people are going to believe in regardless.
Yeah, and the second that people start saying that Bigfoot demands your firstborn virgin daughters, you're going to see a whole group of Squatchists that comes up, and they're going to say, "Nope, fuck this guy. He's not real. You guys are full of shit." And they're going to be like, "Oh, you just hate us because of," and there's going to be all that.
And that's always been throughout history.
The thing is, exactly. But there's no issue with that. But the thing is, people do want to put into policy things that they claim that their God has said, and that's why there's a problem.
It's a big problem.
The problem is not religion itself. The problem is that it's infecting all these other areas that does affect other people's lives who aren't involved in that shit.
It's not a war on Christmas. It's a war on you trying to force us to live your Christmas.
Yeah. There's a war on non-Christmas. Yeah. Christians are waging a war on people who don't accept their Christmas. Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm sorry if I choose to say the word Happy Holidays, which to encompass Christmas, Hanukkah, the New Year's, and any other holiday you want to celebrate that time of year, because I have no clue what you celebrate and what you don't celebrate.
I'm usually saying Happy Holidays because it's Christmas and New Year's. I could care less about Hanukkah. I've never.
Yeah, but they always look at you like you're a commie bastard.
I'm not trying to be PC, but
I say Happy Holidays because I don't know what religion you practice or if you practice a religion.
Yeah, see, that's one of those things too, and I guess that's where I'm kind of a little bit of the dick. Like, I could give a shit less what you practice.
Yeah,
like, hey. Happy 25th.
Well, I don't give a shit either, but at the same time, I still want people to be happy, and if they do happen to celebrate a holiday, then they should have a good time doing it.
When it comes to my salutations, like I'd usually try to keep it just in general, like hey, have a good weekend. I mean, I try to get specific with people because I'm also one of those assholes that hates when you just say good morning and don't really give a fuck what I have to say. Like, hey, how you doing, and then just walk on by. Like, no, fucker, you listen to how I'm doing.
No, you really want to know? You asked. You really want to know?
It's usually not bad. I'm just like, hey, did this yesterday, whatever. Let's have a little conversation. You want to interact, or do you want to pretend to interact? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's niceness for the purpose of niceness.
I'm kind of a fan of the Merry Xmas. Because you get all the ignorant Christians that are like, well, keep the Christ in Christmas. They don't realize that X is a symbol in Greek.
Calm it down, Hannity. Calm it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys ever heard?
They'll do that too.
I know. Dan's probably heard it. I know Matt might have heard it. You might not, because you just started listening to it today.
I just started listening to Tim Minchin when he was forcing me to listen to it.
Have you ever heard Tim Minchin's Christmas song?
Yes. Oh, I don't know.
White Wine in the Sun.
I love that
favorite
song. I love it.
That's a fucking good song.
It moves me to almost tears every time.
On the beach?
Well, I mean, he's from Australia, so in Australia, they're in the southern hemisphere. In December, it's summer there. Yeah. So technically, white wine in the sun is probably a real thing in Australia.
A good place to
Does he have a Halloween song?
No, but the song is basically talking about like, hey,
I really like Christmas.
I really like Christmas. It doesn't have to do with anything else, but I really like Christmas. And I'm really happy to be with my family and celebrate with my family and bring my newborn daughter there and celebrate it with having white wine under the sun and enjoying the time of year.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with
spending time with friends and family.
Nothing to do with religion or Christ or anything like that. Yeah. No, it's just the base essence of it.
Not to get too terrible.
Did he have you listen to that song yet?
No, it played, but we were talking the whole way down. So
not to get too terribly off kilter, but I did want to get back to this ghost subject because I've been
to the what subject?
The ghost.
Oh, okay.
No. It's not a belief in ghosts. It's not none of that. It's like the evolution of Christ, and when you talk about Jesus and his superpowers and all the things that he could do, when did ghosts gain these superpowers? Because if you listen to people, how can something be intangible and then tangible? How can it pass through a wall but suddenly pick up a cup? How does this ghost have this many different abilities?
Well,
it can choose when to present itself.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are physical laws, and like the Pope says.
if you watch the movie Ghost,
I've seen the movie Ghost.
So he has to practice.
You have to practice in order to be able to make the cup fly off the top of the garbage can, or to go with your old girlfriend and make a awesome vase.
Now, let me tell you, I don't know why, but as a kid, I loved going to the movies, and I would go to random movies by myself, the Dollar Theater, and I remember seeing Ghost. I don't know why. Like, as an adult now, why I would never go see Ghost. As a kid, I've seen so many weird shows. Like, I used to love The Golden Girls. It was one of my favorite shows. I don't know why. It's like adult humor. Like, probably because I was poor and I had TV. Like, downtown, let's pick up The Golden Girls. I didn't have the option of cable.
But no, you're absolutely right about ghosts. I mean, especially for any Christian people who believe in ghosts. So
That's what I'm saying.
You're saying that, these ghosts have some of the same powers that your God has, which is kind of weird.
That's what I'm saying. It's supposed to be God's power. And then it comes back to the freaking Christian rebranding, because through the 80s, there was a rebranding of Christianity as well, where there used to be 3 separate entities, and then they started combining them all into one. There's the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Now Jesus is God. And that's one of the other interesting things
which
that
makes
I find.
No sense.
That's one of the things that I find interesting about religious people. I'm like, so are you worshiping God? Or are you worshiping Jesus? And if you're worshiping Jesus, are you putting another God before God? Are you really being led wayward and not realize that you're being
It's the same way with Catholic saints who were imbued with special powers.
Pray to 50 different people. I have Catholic friends. You need to buy candles for, I'm going to buy this one.
Yeah, Mother Teresa dies and performs miracles after her death. Fuck me, okay. Sure, if you want to believe that.
And then God starts appearing on...
certainly didn't do anything in her life that was
God starts
fantastic.
appearing on windowsills and toast and pancakes.
In trees, weeping statues.
Dogs, grilled cheese looks like Jesus. And then people travel from far and near. I mean, you can make a Christmas story about that.
And I've been seeing a lot of those lately. I
It
take a
kills
big
me
old
too.
fucking bite out of his beard.
It kills me too.
This is heavenly.
That for a lot of these, so-called miracles that people witness all the time, for a weeping tree or whatever, and scientists go and look at it and go, no, the tree's not crying. That's fucking bug shit that's coming down on the trees.
That you're licking and
the people will still go,
and it happens every year.
You can say that, but I know. I
you're out to
know
get us.
that it's Jesus.
And that's where that almost comes right back full circle to the separation, to the trunk or treats, to the keeping your kids in groups. Because the one thing that they teach every religious person is you're going to be prosecuted. People are going to hate you for what you believe. They're out to get you. They're going to try to prove you wrong. They're going to say you're stupid. Religious people are always on the defensive.
Yeah.
They're always worried about what someone else thinks.
They have a persecution complex.
Yeah. And that's the big difference between religion and science. Because just like Dan said, they're going to continue licking bug shit off of trees, and they're going to tell everyone that they know that that's true. And then science...
Jesus' tears are skunky.
Yeah. But then science will spend 50 years doing tests and evaluating stuff and trying to disprove it and everything, and then they'll come out and say, all right, well, here's what we know. And religious people say, well, I know what that word means. They don't know shit. I don't believe you.
Well,
Science changes all the time.
I will say one thing about science, and science does change. One thing that, for full disclosure, to be completely honest, science, I love science, very beautiful. I'm a big fan of it, engineering student, but at times scientists' ego plays into it too. And I think sometimes that does a lot of damage when it comes into, going to get up against the religious groups, is because sometimes your ego doesn't want to let the next scientist after you have his glory. Like you're constantly trying to disprove what they're doing.
And for that same reason,
well, I would say that that's the beauty of science.
Yeah,
that
it is a beauty of
that
science,
same reason, yeah.
But at the same time, it puts enough confusion out there for like a religious person to have something
For
to
the
point
layman.
at. Like say, look at that doubt. Look at that doubt. They're arguing. They don't know.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to paid scientists and like climate change.
Well, okay, that was the example I was going to bring up, because it's perfect. Because a lot of times people will look at that like so you'll have religious people on one end saying there's no such thing as climate change, and you'll have scientists on the other end saying yes, there is. But the religious people are saying, well, there's a disagreement about scientists. Well, the disagreement about scientists with climate change is not is climate change happening. There's no disagreement about that.
Yeah, it's about the effect.
And then the other thing is it man-made or man-caused? There's no disagreement about that either. The disagreement is how much of climate change is man-caused. That's the disagreement with scientists. Well, some say it's higher and some say it's a little lower. Religious people or laymen look at that and say, well, they're disagreeing. Some say that climate change happens, some say it doesn't. That's not at all the disagreement. And it's the same thing with evolution.
And that's the thing.
Well,
and
scientists don't know. No, the argument isn't about that.
And that's where it comes back to intelligence, because some people want to be ignorant. They don't want to look into those details. They just look at the headline. The headline says, 97% agree, 3 disagree.
Sure.
Of course, they're probably not going to phrase it that way.
Sure.
It'll be like, there's an argument between scientists. Like, see, scientists can't even get his story together.
And I
Or
wouldn't
the
even
Bible,
say-
though, they all
News.
agreed.
I wouldn't even say intelligence. I think there's a lot of intelligent people that don't accept those things because they're immature. And Ryan's going to disagree with me on this. We had this 2 weeks ago, but they're intelligent, but they're immature, and they desperately
I think there's
want
some
a sky
people
daddy.
that are intelligent but willfully negligent. But I think there's some people that are not intelligent. Like,
Yeah,
you might
well,
be
of course,
intelligent
of course.
enough. It's almost like being a freaking idiot savant. You can go through and do your regular work. You can manage your house. You cannot kill your kids. You cannot electrocute yourself in the morning. But how smart are you really?
Yeah, and some are dumb, but
And that's
but the, like when you talk about guys like William Dembski or William Lane Craig, those guys are not dumb. You know,
Yeah, I'm not saying
but
they're all dumb.
but they're immature.
But that's where sometimes also, is it in their, it's like we were kind of talking about earlier, is it in their financial benefit?
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of priests that it's in their financial benefit.
Sure it is.
If this people is willing to pay me X amount of dollars to make X statement, then X plus X equals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just
say
like
what you want.
Matt Dillahunty has talked about a bunch of times, though, like if he was less moral, he could make way more money by going back and saying, you know what, I've seen the light. Jesus is real, blah blah blah, and starting his own
Now
mega
he'll be
church
the atheist activist who
has turned to
found
You
Christianity.
know how many times I've had that conversation.
Yes.
I'm like, I remember
Yeah.
one of those silly things like me when I was kind of going through my angry-ish phase religious wise. I'd like email this priest, and this priest, I can't remember what his name was, but I was just looking through these forums. And so I started asking him these questions, and he told me how good of a voice I could be for God and how beneficial
right.
a person with my intelligence could be. And I'm like, if I were a less moral person, if I didn't give a damn about like my self-respect,
The truth.
I could be, I could probably be out there making some money,
so I-
shucking and jiving, make the new Mormon rap.
So I think there is money. I think there is money involved in it for we were talking about William Lane Craig and Bill Dembski, but there would be just as much money if they became atheists too. So I think there is something else there. And those guys aren't dumb guys. They're just immature.
The atheists really committed as much money as Christians.
Well,
think
maybe
so.
that's true. Maybe
That's what I'm saying,
Well-
because you could be in Mormon, or you could. Well, I'll use the Mormons as an example. We
Maybe it
live
doesn't
in
go the
Utah.
other way,
You
yeah.
can release a bunch of Mormon books. Those people will never read them, but they own them and they're on
Yeah,
their
yeah,
shelf. Their grandma's giving them out. Oh, the kids will enjoy this one day. They're never reading them. They're sitting on the shelf. But that author's made a lot of money.
Sure. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
I know we've talked about before about the documentary. I think it's called Kumari, where the guy pretends to be an Indian guru.
Yeah.
I saw there's another one. I don't know if you guys have heard of Darren Brown.
Yeah.
He's
The author of National Treasure and
no.
Oh, that's Dan Brown.
That's Dan
No, the
Darren Brown is
he's British. Or is he from the UK?
Yeah, he's from the UK.
He's from the UK. He does a lot of like the hypnotist stuff. He does a lot of the debunking.
Yeah.
He's kind of almost like with as far as the camp of non-supernatural stuff as like a Houdini type guy, debunking supernaturalists. Well, he had a thing. One of his first ever coming to the United States and doing a show in the U.S. was to find an American. Because he wasn't well known in the U.S. at all. UK, he was big. So if he tried to do it in the UK, they would have caught on quick because people would have recognized him, knowing who he was. So he came to the U.S. and he had a American that he trained to be an evangelist, a complete fake. The guy was not religious. He didn't give a fuck about the stuff. He didn't know anything about it. He was not a very spiritual person, and he walked him through how to pitch your voice in the right ways, how to make your hand gestures, how to get people to believe in you. And he held a Sunday revival. And these people were going nuts. They thought he was the real deal, like a Joe Osman. Like, they were falling for him. Then he finally does the reveal kind of stuff. But when that man was going through that process of becoming the evangelist, and he knows he's going to be duping this huge crowd of people at this tent revival style thing, and they're playing it up. His conscience took over. He's like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to go in there and I'm going to try to fraud these people out of their money and everything. and he didn't want to
Huge
do
moral dilemma.
it. Yeah, huge moral dilemma. He didn't want to do it. Finally, he went and did it and proved the point that it doesn't matter if you actually believe in this shit, as long as you pretend you believe in it and you cast your voice the right way, you make the right body motions, the right
As long
gestures,
as you're convincing, yeah.
and being convincing, these people will give every fucking penny in their bank account to you.
Yeah,
and that's what the people were doing.
Want to hear in a way that they want to hear it.
Oh yeah, and these people, this was the first time they're ever seeing him. According to them, he was some evangelist that was coming from some other place, and they had basically made him up, completely fake. But the billboards and everything they're promoting him by, people believed in it, that they could come there and be healed by the power of, Reverend John or whatever.
Have you ever watched?
It was insane.
Have you ever seen that Nathan For You?
Yes, I love that show.
The Exorcist episode. Did you see that?
The one where
Go Three Homes.
The one where he made the YouTube video where he's basically having
the pig?
a pig save a goat. So
Yeah.
they rig it up.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
At first,
yeah.
they try it with scuba divers. They tried all these different ways. They end up making like a little, see-through
a track.
a see-through little track that the pig goes through. Then all these major news networks, Fox News, MSNBC, all
Calling
these
it a
local
miracle.
shows, saying it's a miracle. It's 100% true. There's no question about it. It's just saying how easy, even now in a modern day age, like the average person's to be like, I don't know how true this really is. But they don't question anymore. If they can see it, seeing is believing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people believe David Blaine actually walked on water instead of acrylic.
Right.
Like, even watching that, it's like, it's acrylic. It's see-through. It's clear plastic acrylic in the fucking pool that he's walking on. How stupid are you?
Well, no, and we've had the twist, the Macarena, twerking.
Mm-hmm.
How long before Holy Ghosting is featured in a hip hop video or something?
You can't forget the Dougie.
We need to make up a holy ghosting. What about the electric slide?
And the yeah, okay, all right.
That's
I know
one thing.
people that still do that.
I just wanted to get this out there because, damn it, while we're talking about it, the Dougie is based on the Dougie Fresh. A lot of people have.
I don't even know what the
clue of
Dougie
who the hell
is.
Dougie Fresh is. It's
Sorry.
the
I
silly
know who
Dad.
Dougie Fresh
But
is.
You know Dougie Fresh, but not the Dougie.
I was watching,
I don't know either.
Oh, you don't know either. Yeah,
I was watching BET,
Dougie
but
Fresh
not WET. I was watching BET, and they were giving out a Lifetime Achievement Award for Dougie Fresh, and his mother had died. And I mean, I was watching it. I enjoyed it. And I don't want to be too much of a dick, but I'll kind of be a dick. When he said all these people are trying to ruin it, you need to have your faith in God. God can create everything. I know it's hard nowadays. I'm like, really? You're going to take this good little moment for you? You're going to talk about your mom?
That was
and now
Dougie
it's
Fresh
the
said
bull
that.
pit.
Oh man, I like
Now it's
Dougie
the bully
too,
pulpit. I still like Dougie.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
believe in what you want to believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
if that's what he truly feels, people are not trying to ruin your fucking religion because they don't act the way that you want them to act is not trying to ruin your religion. There are probably people out there when they were doing the fucking twist saying that these kids are ruining religion.
Oh, of
they're
course,
dancing with each other. They're not at arm's length.
Yep. Same with the Beatles. Yeah, they had the same issue.
Even
yeah.
Elvis.
And Elvis, yeah, that's the one I point out to my kids all the time.
Perverted pants.
I'm all, look at this guy, like, doing this little cheesy shake. And
Right.
they're like, yeah, that's the devil's music.
Right.
I'm all, fuck, those people wish they were alive today.
So,
Yep.
so the last bit of news that I wanted to cover tonight is
Oh, Dan wrapping it
did
up
you
early.
did you guys no not early no.
Already over 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
did you guys I'm sure you guys saw that guy, the mentally disturbed man who drove his car over the Decalogue in Oklahoma?
Was Christian.
Yeah. So maybe you didn't. You maybe
I
haven't heard
this
about.
yet.
I
So
didn't hear about it either. But
so
that
there's
sounds interesting.
there's the Decalogue that's on display
Or
in
10
Oklahoma.
Commandments.
Yeah, the 10 Commandments on display in Oklahoma, and the Satanic Temple has lobbied to put their statue of Baphomet because
I've seen the
if they're
statue.
so if they're going to allow the Decalogue to be displayed, then they ought to allow other religions to have their say also.
Yep.
So they've been lobbying to have this statue of Baphomet put out there. And there's this whole big thing, initially Oklahoma said, no, we're not going to do it. And then the Satanic Temple said, okay, why? ACLU got involved. And then Oklahoma said, okay, well, we're just going to put a moratorium on all of these displays.
Yeah, which is what should.
That's how we'll avoid the whole thing. No more displays. We'll keep this one, but we won't allow any more. We'll just put a moratorium on it. And So the Satanic Temple and the ACLU have filed suit, and their Satanic Temple is still moving forward with creating their monument. And just this week, crazy guy, who
He was possessed by the demon.
He needs a Skype exorcist.
he stole a car, drove it up onto the Capitol grounds, and ran over the Decalogue and smashed it to pieces. And apparently, before that, he got out. Before he ran it over, he went over and peed on it.
Oh, I didn't hear that
Yeah.
part. I didn't read the whole article.
That makes it special.
So
I'm not understanding the steps here.
initially, when he
Pee
was
on it and then drive a.
Initially, when he was arrested, he was saying that he's a Satanist and that Satan or the demons had told him to run over the Decalogue after he peed on it, of course. So he did it. Anyway, he ran it over, abandoned the car. Then they eventually arrested him. Found out that he has a history of pretty severe mental health issues. And then his mom comes out and says, he's not a Satanist. He's a good Christian boy.
Perfect.
So how do you guys feel about, let's say that even if he wasn't crazy and just felt that having that monument there justified him destroying it?
Well, I could understand why he'd want to destroy it. I'm surprised that more Christians aren't against because there's got to be Christians that feel that they're just trying to use their religion to sell this.
Oh, there are a lot of
that
Christians
truly
who feel
believe
that
this
way
within themselves.
Yeah.
And then
Americans
there's-
United
then
is
there's
headed
politicians that just
by
wanna-
Reverend Barry Lynn, who is
Yeah.
very much a Christian,
Some,
but
just like there's atheists,
but also
that,
advocates for the separation of church and state.
just like there's atheists that kind of view things through a different way. Some people will think that we should just. Some people are against atheist congregating. They're against, atheist societies. Like, I don't believe, but we don't need to get in a group and not believe together. I think there's religious people that are kind of like, we don't need prayer in school. That's supposed to be in private.
Yeah.
So I can definitely I could see where a Christian would take that down. I could see where a Christian would more want to take it down than an atheist.
Yeah.
Because even the Satanist school, I listened to a few interviews on a couple shows. They're not really Satanist.
No,
they're
the
making
Satanic
they're making a point.
So the Satanic Temple is an atheistic organization
Yes.
who uses the construct of Satan to run counter to Christian displays all over the place, right?
But Christians will be
Where
out there
they should
really
not
thinking.
be.
I'm just trying to put it out, especially around Halloween. There's Christians out there that really think these people worship Satan.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what they're taught.
Yeah, and-
It's like,
and
you know that the devil has his followers.
And for sure, there are Satanist organizations who do worship a supernatural Satan.
Yeah, who believe
The Satanic Temple is not one of those organizations.
I can't agree with the actions, no matter what the motivation.
And I would agree
my
with
point.
you
Yeah.
that I disagree with the actions.
I can't agree with the actions, but I can understand.
Well,
where a
I
person
can
would
certainly
wanna do
understand the
that.
motivation. But maybe I misunderstood the question. What
Like-
were you
Well,
putting?
no, I was just
He's
wondering
just
how you
saying
guys
he was
felt
asking-
about it.
He was asking how you feel about it.
Yeah, I disagree with the actions taken. I could understand the motivation behind it from either perspective, atheist or Christian.
That's kind of
But-
where my duality comes in, though, because that part of me is like, yeah, good.
I don't
Sure,
agree with
like,
it being there in the first
Like
place.
it kind
Well,
of
that's-
feels good.
and
It
that's-
should never been in the first place. But
No,
vandalism is never the right answer.
It was
Well-
kind of like my Kanye West conversation I was
Yeah.
having with Duffy and those guys Saturday.
We had a long
Kanye
argument
West
about
says a
art.
lot of shit, but sometimes it fucking feels good to me because it's like about fucking
yeah,
time
yeah.
you say it. to
George
those
Bush doesn't
fuckers.
care about black
Yeah,
people.
like say he don't. I would say that he didn't care about poor people, but it feels
yeah.
good to hear somebody fucking say
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's almost kind of like the feeling I get a little bit. And I got a
Yeah.
little bit of that anarchist in me.
So-
and
I don't want
I'm
to
not-
destroy people's property, but
I'm not saying that I would never feel like that's what I would want to do, of course. But I think, when you already have the Satanic Temple and the ACLU and stuff that are involved and everything, like those are appropriate avenues to pursue.
Correct.
Running a car into it.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I would never want to do because I don't like to lower myself to that fucking petty of a level.
Well, and
like I'm an
it's the
adult.
whole notion
He
of
has to
vandalism
have-
and vigilante justice. I mean, if we want to,
Right.
if people were to go around doing whatever they wanted to do
Yeah.
just because they
which
thought it was
brings me
correct.
to another,
Or because they could.
which
Yeah,
makes
sure.
me think of another interesting point out in my neck of the woods, Syracuse, where that guy has the police scanner. There's the kid that took his grandma's car, stole it. He's driving around. This guy's a police scanner. Here's this kid's running. he's driving around a school park. So, you know, supposedly this guy has kids there. It's almost like a fucking, to me, it feels like a George Zimmerman thing. Yeah. He fucking rams this kid, hits him with this big ass truck, you know, all the police get him. He's a fucking hero. Everybody, they're paying to fix his truck. But I'm like, that's fucking vigilanteism. Yeah. You guys are encouraging this man to go out and do more crazy shit. It's like being a superhero behind a fucking steering wheel.
Does that take the same concept when a truck driver does it? I've heard of cases where truck drivers do the same thing, where they hear there's a high-speed chase, and truck drivers will work together to block off the freeway where a guy's in a high-speed chase to slow him down.
Right. Yeah, and
is that the same thing?
How many lives are you putting at risk if there's a car behind you and you slam on the brakes?
Well, there's a few I've seen where the trucks will actually physically slow the traffic down to a point where that guy literally has nowhere to go, but get to a traffic stop, or that guy literally has no place to go but off the fucking road or stop himself.
Or get out and take a car that's fucking stopped.
But usually that's the opposite out there because all the cars are fucking stopped.
And this gets you.
I actually had a friend, he's dead now, died of Oxycontin. But traffic was stopped, the cops were chasing him. He gets out, started fucking breaking into cars, started shooting people. Fucking broke the window, scarred up his face. Is part of why he's on Oxycontin and other drugs for being depressed, you know, going through PTSD. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he eventually mixed alcohol and Oxycontin and died. But I'm just saying, that's a situation that can happen. It's like you stop traffic, then maybe this fucking mother and her kid make good hostages.
And this gets vastly more complicated. I mean, I'll just only touch on the fact that why truckers might want to have cops on their side. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, then we also get into like issues with Anonymous. Yeah. And vigilantes like that. I know.
They're a different class of vigilantes.
It gets very, very much more complicated when we start adding things like that into the picture. So,
I'm a big fan of Anonymous.
I am too.
Yeah.
I wish that they would get and do.
But only because they hold the same values that I do so far.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other hackers who don't. That I'm not on board with.
I think that their values.
So I'm biased in that sense.
I think their values are shining a light. Like regardless of what you're shining a light on,
and what
if you're not encroaching, if you're not making fake things, if you're shining a light on something, I just find it hard to like. Whether even if you're shining on an organization I like or something I like, hey, if they're doing something that's wrong, they're doing something that's fake, pretending to be on a stance. Shine a light on it.
Yeah,
Let the truth be known.
But again, I think that's an even more illuminating example of what Ryan was trying to talk about with the truck example, where now you have a very extreme situation, and if Anonymous if you agree with them, they're great.
If you don't,
you fucking hate them.
But that's what I'm saying.
And so where do we draw this line? You know, from driving into a Decalogue,
it's hard,
and taking matters into your own hands, or do you go all the way to Anonymous and say, well, that's okay too, or do you just say across the board, no? I mean, this is.
I think if you go to the vigilante side of it, the guy driving into the Ten Commandments Decalogue, he was creating destruction.
Yeah, I think
now if you go with a person that's trying to stop an action or stop someone from continuing to commit illegal action.
I could very easily argue that the Decalogue being posted at all on government property was the creation of destruction.
But would that harm anyone?
Sure.
I mean, physically was that at that moment going to harm anyone?
Physically, it's a possibility.
Does Anonymous?
He doesn't know.
Anonymous doesn't. I mean,
Anonymous.
No, honestly, but they're hackers that try to expose companies for doing bad things.
Right.
Or
So
physically,
then I'm just saying it's a really shady.
Well, no, I'm gonna back up your Anonymous because honestly, like supposedly the Ferguson cop when they exposed him.
Yep.
They never really came out and said whether they actually had the right person. Not that I've seen. I could probably research it and find out.
No, they did. They said
they did.
But if they had labeled the wrong person, then I can see where something like that type of vigilantism is bad.
But so far, they haven't made any kind of mistakes anywhere near that.
That's what I'm saying. If they're not fabricating it, obviously they must have seen something there that gave them a clue. But I can respect the.
But no harm came to him as a result of exposing that. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, erecting a 10 Commandments on tax paid for property is in a sense damaging to people who don't, not just atheists, but Jews, Muslim. Well, maybe not Jews, but Muslims.
It's all
Buddhists, whoever else
It's
is
all damaging
anything other
because it's baby steps, and then
that's why I say this is a huge gray area. So do you take it from the handicapped guy who drives into the Ten Commandments, or, all the way to anonymous? I mean, I don't.
And when you take it to
huge
terms,
scale.
when you take it to terms like say you were to make the upgrade to terrorism, like say when you talk about creating terrorists, when you think about things like drone strikes, things like that. If you have a Muslim person that's going to this court that already feels they're being railroaded, that they're being persecuted for something for no reason, and then they can see the 10 Commandments sitting in the front of this building that they're about to go into. That's what I'm saying. You can almost like encourage. You can almost give them the idea that they're not going to get a fair trial. And then when they end up having to pay a fine, they're angry at what.
Yeah.
Even an atheist walking into there is going to look at that and go, fuck.
I think atheists.
But it's divisive to have that posted on property that's been paid for partially out of your wallet.
Not to be
even if you don't agree with
it, but I think atheists are a little bit more logical people. In my personal opinion, I don't think that we're going into a courtroom like, oh yeah, all these people are God believers, but we don't think they're out to get us. Maybe if they're prosecuting you for something atheist related, but if you're in there for like a traffic ticket,
I have no problem saying more rational, more mature, in that area.
Yeah. So the other little twist to this whole story is that Oklahoma, had put the moratorium in place, saying they're not going to allow any additional monuments.
I was wondering about this part.
So the other little twist is that immediately after the destruction of the Decalogue,
moratorium lifted.
The governor of Oklahoma came out and said that they would immediately work to replace it. Which
that's putting up another monument.
Which would which would really throw a wrench in the works as far as any legal case goes for having other monuments displayed. So I just thought it was kind of interesting. Well, because they had the monument, now the monument is gone, and then they'll be replacing it with
taxpayer dollars.
Of course, all those workers.
No, they're raising the money independently.
Okay,
Independently.
but still displayed on public.
So
property.
they're going to use taxpayer monies to campaign to raise independent.
So that's an admission already on their part that it's not legal to do.
It was initially private funds, right?
It was private funds.
I think it was initially private funds.
Yeah, it was private funds that put it there, but it's still displayed on public property.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying it was private funds.
It's still a tacit admission on their part that it's illegal to do that, or else they would use federally funded dollars to pay for that. They know they can't get away with that.
Yeah, they know they can't get away with the tax funded.
Yeah, but so far they've been able to get away with mounting it on
And they're
public
getting away
land,
with intentionally discriminating against other religions.
So they already fucking know. They're they're little children pushing the boundaries.
I don't know if you guys have already mentioned this, but just while you're on monuments, the young man humping Jesus getting a BJ.
Oh
hit that one.
That was good.
That was bullshit.
Well, I mean, it was
a good picture.
Yeah,
but
the result, no, not so much.
Well, I don't know if the result's been finalized yet. I mean,
he was sentenced to community service.
No, community service.
Yeah. See, I don't know how they
Which
can
is
do
bullshit.
that.
Well,
I don't know how they can do that either.
Yeah.
But
the church who owned that statue didn't want to press any charges.
Yeah,
this was
which is
all
respectable.
This was a witch hunt put on by
the attorney.
Put on by the attorney general.
So that's even more illegal than if the church.
And that's
wanted
what I
to
see
press
as a
charges.
lot of it is a lot of the problem is this holier than thou thing, and that's the one thing I talk about with Christians a lot. It's like a politician, in order to prove he's a good politician, has to out-Christian the other Christian.
Yeah.
And that's what becomes the problem to me.
Well,
It's like, why shouldn't we be able to pray in school? I'm running for governor. Vote for me. I'm going to see if I can get prayer in your local school.
And that speaks to the insidiousness of religion, right?
Yes.
Not just that, he has to be religious, period. He has to be more religious or appear more religious than any other people. Whether he is or not, he has to at least appear that way.
Yep.
And that's
it's not that there's any official church saying, hey, you need to do this or anything, but he knows that he has to do that.
Even with the nationalism.
That's the insidious nature of religious belief, is that people understand that you have to act a certain way in order to get those votes.
And I think it's that appearance that is really what we're fighting against. Just in that case we were just talking about where that kid was humping the statue of Jesus or whatever, the church itself didn't want to press charges. So in that case, the government is hands off. right? They'll say, okay, do you want to press charges for him defaming your personal property or whatever the case might be, right? And they say yes.
Trespassing,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever, right? Whatever actual legal charge there might be. And they say yes or no. If they say yes for trespassing, then the state can say, okay, we'll prosecute him for but the church said, no, it's okay. And the government said, no, we're gonna still go ahead and do this for religious reasons, which is illegal on a couple of.
What they got him on was an archaic law that state had still.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what it puts the focus on.
But exactly,
it puts the focus on you can't desecrate a religious statue.
Yeah, it comes down to the appearance.
Like I know nobody in Minnesota is going to lock their alligator up to a light post. But if they do,
has an alligator in Minnesota.
Yeah, but if they do have an alligator in Minnesota and they decide to take their alligator for a walk and they tie that alligator to a light post, they are breaking state law.
Well, did you ever hear the silly law that they had up in Tremont? There's a silly law that they eradicated, I think, probably about 5-6 years ago, which kind of shows, once again, the religious belief in women. If two people were caught having sex in an ambulance, the man wasn't punished. The woman was paraded down the street. Her name was put in the paper, and she was disgraced for having sex in an ambulance.
There must have been a lot of sex in an ambulance to make that law.
Nothing to the man.
Was that settled? Was that settled by Muslims? That city?
I think there were some Mormon Muslims out there.
Yeah.
How did it work for a fire truck? Is that cool? Is that good to go?
I would imagine if it's a woman.
Have you had sex in a fire truck,
No,
Mr.
but I know
Duffy?
plenty that have. I know people that will come to work just to have sex in a fire truck.
I imagine that a fire truck is like the ultimate aphrodisiac. You just got to drive by a strip club and like, hey, we got a pole over here too.
It's this giant red protrusion.
I know
squirts things.
I know a few people that have done it, and I know one guy that had his girlfriend come to work one night and
Can I wear your hard hat?
they almost got caught because a run got called out at like 1 a.m. while they were having sex in the fire truck.
Well, that definitely puts the pressure on you. That's got to beat autoerotic asphyxiation.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
It's like you're getting in, you're putting your bunker gears on, like, how did those fucking panties get there? Huh. That's awkward. I remember seeing those when I checked the truck out.
This fire truck's a rockin', don't come a knocking.
Yeah, that's all right. You guys do. I believe they call it the Lord's work. You deserve a little tang. Deserve a little tang.
Well, on that note, it's about time to wrap it up for the night.
You do have red lights on top of that thing.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Red light district. Oh, and by the way, Dale says hi.
Yeah, well, hi, Dale.
Yeah. He said hello. He wanted to know how the podcast was going tonight. And he
Did
said,
you
tell
tell
the
him
guys
I
hello.
remember his name now?
I'll
It took about three repeatings. I'm like, I've been drinking. Like, I'm not good with names. It's like, Dale. I was sitting there at work Monday. Dale. Like, I don't want to be a dick, but if I don't see you enough, I'm like, do I need your name?
Yeah. Well, I had to do that with you, man.
That's what I'm saying. My name is awkward.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he doesn't necessarily look like a Dale.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But
He looks more like an Edward.
Well, I think
does
Dale,
he look like an Edward?
I think Dale, I think fucking King of the Hill, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah, no,
Dale?
Dale was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was good. Fucking lied to us, though. I was ready to grill his ass.
Well,
on
he
ghosts.
might have made a fake story to me a little. Or not. He might have fudged the story a little bit to me because we're both really drunk.
It was embellishing.
And then it was embellished by you to us.
No, I think he embellished it while I was sitting there with him when he put out the ghost word.
He sees dead people.
Yeah.
He's not here to make up a fake Sasquatch
that's
story this
true.
time.
Yeah, no, it's true. I was ready to grill him on it, and then he was like, "No, I don't believe any of that." And I'm like,
I'm just throwing it out there.
When's the episode on Loch Ness?
We can.
Yeah, do you have any
do a
friend-
whole
do you have
episode
any-
just on pseudoscience?
Yeah. We got to get someone that like
Believes?
Yeah, Squatch or Loch Ness. I don't know anybody either.
I wonder if we can get an actual Sasquatch hunter
I have
on
a
the eighth.
friend.
That'd be fucking amazing.
I have a friend that I went to high school with who is a money-making television personality psychic
That sounds
who also has told me that she is an atheist,
that sounds like radio gold.
which to me is
That'd be
fucking
interesting.
weird.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Is she still in Utah?
Yep, she is in Utah.
Are you still friends with her?
Yep, I am still friends with her, though I don't know. I don't know how friendly I haven't spoken with her for a little bit.
Well, maybe she
And,
doesn't
and I've posted several anti-psychic things on my
believes
Facebook.
in mysticism. Well, I'm saying maybe she doesn't necessarily believe in ghosts, but just believes in Mother Earth.
Oh no, she's a
ghost
full
believer?
bore, ghost believing psychic.
Well, see,
What if she came on and gave us a psychic reading?
She's kind of a big deal. Like she's on television shows.
She's not that Jersey medium, is she?
No,
No, it's from New Jersey.
no.
Well, you never know on TV. She's from New Jersey.
True.
She's fucking living
She's
in,
actually Mormon.
I'm
and
out
fucking,
in San Diego.
But yeah, I mean, I'd have to look at she was recently promoted on some other television show where it talks about how she's, all three different types of psychics, whatever they are.
Wow.
Like she can talk to dead people. She can tell the future. And
Is there a school that you go to get these
Holy fuck
certifications?
I want the lottery numbers.
Okay. You could have this conversation with her. You don't need to necessarily get into the ghost. Just find out how do you get certified in 3 different classes of psychism.
You have to have a certain number of people who buy into that bullshit.
Like, all you got to do is ask her methods, and that's probably a show for itself. It just,
It's probably based on book sales.
oh yeah,
well, it's just like religion. It's successful if it
yeah.
makes money. Like, ooh, you good. Mitt Romney,
that'd be interesting.
2016.
I'd be willing to go on her podcast if she'd come on here.
Yeah.
I'd go in there. I'd go in a room full of psychic
Yeah, hell yeah.
believers.
I'll do whatever.
Just like
whatever
you get
she
all
wants.
militant on them.
Maybe I should check in with her and see if
See if
she'd
we can
be
do a
okay.
psychic
I
test.
won't go militant. I'll do what she wants, but I just
If I went on her show, I'd have to get.
Well, I was gonna say maybe I'll contact her and see how comfortable she would feel
But-
with being on the hot seat.
yeah.
She will know
Yeah.
already.
I have this meter, and it's
She should
always
already know that
almost
I'm going to
near full.
contact her.
And what we will say on this podcast.
I'll tell you what, though,
She sees the future.
our quote hot seat is really not that bad. I've learned that. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be kind of, but like.
Well, we
like,
haven't gotten
to
anyone to
Mel's
really
first
grill.
Episode, like he was after a while, he was like, "When are the tough questions gonna? You know what I mean?
do
Like when are you
tough
gonna?"
questions?
Yeah, and that never had. And then same with Dale. Like he came on and it was like I was ready to, and it was just like, man, we
all
just
the
kinda
guests we've
bullshit.
had are
I mean,
atheists.
That
Well,
is
So
true.
is she.
Yeah,
Well,
but
except
she
for
also,
Connie.
but
Connie's
the
not-
Connie's not an
psychic
atheist,
part.
but she falls in the same.
Yeah, that could. That
You're
could
not.
be, that
You're
could
not
be
really
different.
challenging my beliefs. Like you were asking me my
Sure,
opinion
sure.
on things. With Dell may have been the same thing.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like you're challenging me. Like, hey,
Yeah,
tell
that's
us about
true.
your upbringing. I'm like, oh, okay. Tell us how
Right,
you
or it's
feel. I
like,
could do that.
How is it to be a black atheist?
Like challenge me
Like,
on.
you're like,
Like, tell me why the Xbox is better than the PS4. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. PS4 all the way.
yeah, I'm a PlayStation.
Well, all
guy,
right,
too.
next week I guess we'll debate Satan.
We'll debate Satan.
We'll debate Satan.
You getting
Well, we
into
got a Thanksgiving
materialized?
episode coming up too.
Is Satan going to be our special guest?
Yeah, Satan. I don't know if he'll make it or not. It's kind of cold out for him now.
Makes his own.
I'm sure
heat.
he can warm the place up.
Yeah.
There's no global warming. It's Satan's world tour.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And thanks for coming out tonight, Tamel.
Yeah,
Good to see you again,
I'm
man.
glad that you guys have
have-
me again.
Yeah, good having you.
Yeah, once again, this is a Godless Rebelution, and we'll be back on next week.
Yeah, fucking email us.
Yeah, free. meow free.
GodlessRebelution@gmail.
There was no meow.
.com.
Bye.
There we go.